Big Sales National Football Show. How you doing? And I might have to have a change in direction here for this Saturday game on Christmas Eve. I may have a change in direction here. Merry Christmas to everybody. Hopefully everybody has all their Christmas shopping done. I'm looking forward to Christmas Eve fish dinner. Scungili, lobster, you know, the whole 9 yards. Great time, football and food, right? And Christmas. And having the ones you love around you. Great time of the year. I thank you so much for what you guys have done this year for our show. You guys have been spectacular. Thank you very much. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. One of the greatest Christmases I could ever have is the fact that you guys come aboard with us. No question. By the way, Philly 500. In hour number 3 at 5:30 Eastern, you know he's ready to rock. Cowboys and Eagles. What more do you want, right? Cowboys and Eagles. Hey, first and foremost, I got a kind of a subtopic right off the top here. Kudos to Doug Peterson. Doug, way to go, dude. You are totally a GOAT coach. Turning that shitbox Jacksonville Jaguars franchise around in 1 year after the massive dump that Urban Meyer took on Shade Khan's team has been remarkable, the turnaround. Trevor Lawrence looks like a superstar quarterback. Everything we thought Trevor Lawrence was going to be, I think they're going to win their division, and I think the Jags are going to make the postseason now. I think they're going to make the postseason. Get this. Here's Trevor Lawrence's numbers. 531 attempts, 350 incompletions. This guy's thrown for 3,749 yards and 24 touchdowns and 7 picks. I mean, this guy doesn't even resemble the guy of a year ago. 65.9 in completion percentage, 96 QBR. He's on pace for 4,200 yards and 27 touchdowns with 7 picks. He's got 5 now. He's on pace for this. Unbelievable turnaround, man. What a turnaround. Way to go, Doug. Ask you this. If Doug gets that Jags team into the postseason, who's your coach of the year? The former Philly head coach or the current Philly head coach? What Eagle guy? Now, Jags coach now, deserves the Coach of the Year award. Who would you give that award to? What Doug Peterson has done? Dude, let's not forget something. He not only turned a franchise around, but he made a franchise quarterback turn around. I think it's Doug Peterson. I think it's been more impressive. So you're trying to tell me you think it's more impressive what Nick Sirianni has done than what Doug Peterson has done? No way. No way. Doug's done a great dude. I think Doug Peterson, Dan Campbell, I think those guys have all done spectacular jobs. I'm not dissing Nick in the job that he's done. I am not dissing that. I'm just saying this, dude. I'm saying that I think Doug Peterson has done a hell of a job. I think Doug deserves it. I really do. I think I would give Doug Peterson my Coach of the Year vote. Now, he's got to do it still. I think here's who I think the race is. I think it's Nick Sirianni, Dan Campbell, and Doug Peterson. Those 3 guys. Who would have thought Dan Campbell at 1-6 would be in the conversation for NFL Coach of the Year? Good job, the kneecap eater. I love it here. All right. Let's get into Cowboys and Eagles. I've changed my opinion on this game, just so you know. We're going to look at Week 16 of the NFL. Some college bowl games over the weekend. Cowboys by the numbers heading into this game against the Eagles. Also, the MVP race. I got some thoughts on that. All right. Here we go. What happens on Saturday in Arlington? Cowboys blow a 17-point lead against the Jaguars team, which looks pretty good now. Do you know if the Cowboys win against The Eagles, this will be the third 10-win team they've beaten this year. Pretty impressive. I know they've had stumbles along the way. 17-point lead. You dropped the game in overtime to the Jags this past weekend, 40-34. A lot of missteps, a lot of bad coaching, a lot of bad decisions by players in that game, especially late in that ball game. And I thought Trevor Lawrence was spectacular. You go back and you watch that game, man, Lawrence is figuring it out. And it's because of the guidance of Doug Peterson. Micah Parsons and the Cowboys, they've got to get to Minshew. They've got to get to him. Last 2 games, 1 sack. There's your game. It's going to be in the trenches. This is going to be a ball game in the trenches. If Dallas can't block the Eagles' front 7, it's over. Vice versa. Personally, I think the advantage is on Philly's side in this dynamic. Now, here's the reason you're seeing more turnovers with Dak than you did with Jalen and now with Minshew starting this weekend. The Cowboys have higher percentage turnover plays. What does that mean? They throw the ball more. Any team that throws the ball. Here, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to kind of jump the gun here. Do you understand when I say something? So when you guys keep throwing to me interceptions and turnovers with Allen and Mahomes, Jalen Hurts is throwing the ball 200 times less. You're going to have a more turnover number. And you're going to have more passing yards with the other guys. So that's a flawed ideology you guys have. Well, Josh Allen's got 11 turnovers. Yeah, he's throwing the ball 580 times. Your guy's throwing the ball 425. I mean, come on, man. You're going to have more turnovers. But you're going to have a different result. The Bills are still doing the same thing that the Eagles are doing. But when you throw the ball, it's more of a higher percentage turnover play. That's what didn't make sense to me in that Chicago game. And Razor says their O-line isn't what it used to be. I agree with that. I still think Zach Martin's a Hall of Fame player. Here's the bottom line for me. I can't believe Gardner Minshew is going to beat Dak Prescott. I got the Cowboys 26-24 winning this game. I changed my tune on this because I cannot believe. By the way, there's a part of me, just so you know, that I'm not hating on the Eagles. I cannot believe Dak Prescott will lose a football game to Gardner Minshew. I cannot believe. Hey, do I think he can beat the Cowboys? I surely do. But if you're Dak Prescott, you cannot lose to Gardner Minshew. You cannot. I cannot believe that a $45 million quarterback is going to lay an egg in a game that they need. I can't take that take and go like this. Okay, because I'll tell you one thing. If Dak Prescott doesn't beat Gardner Minshew on Saturday, all bets are off with that guy. And if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you know you don't have the guy. I think this is such a massive game for Dak. I think the stakes are now even higher. The Eagles right now, they're on house money. Gardner Minshew, he beats the Eagles. I'm still in the one hole. Who cares? You got to win one of the last 3. You can't tell me you don't think the Eagles are going to win one of those last 3 games to clinch home field advantage. That's all that matters here. It's a team game. But Brian, I agree, man. But here, Brian, honest to God, watch this. Every single thing and all the check marks. Check to the Eagles winning this game. The quarterback, I cannot believe Dak Prescott is going to allow that and lose that game tomorrow. I just cannot believe that. They have to win that game, man. The Cowboys, he has to win that game. Dude, can we do something here? Can you name me a game where you went like this with Dak Prescott? Where you went like this? Yeah, you know what, man? You remember that game in the NFC Championship? Oh, wait, they didn't make it. Hey, do you remember that playoff game where Dak went for 462 yards? Oh, yeah, wait, he hasn't done that. How many times do you do this? That game last year with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes was one for the ages. I mean, the Bills destroyed Bill Belichick's Patriots. They destroyed them. I don't even think they punted in the game. Allen was spectacular against the Patriots last year. Jesse, I don't go by that stupid thought. You got to believe. Okay? I look at facts. You can't lose that game if you're Dak Prescott. Boy, I'll tell you, man, he loses that football game. Jerry Jones has got to say, enough is enough. When do you move off the guy? He'll never win a significant game. This is a significant game for him. This is also a game that continues the dominance that he has had in the NFC East. You want to send a message, hey, we'll see you again in the playoffs. It's going to be the same thing. That'll be a completely different ball game with Jalen in the game. But if you're Dak, you've got to beat this kid. Just like Jalen had to beat Cooper Rush, and he did. Remember something here. Okay, so we're going to have the battles of the backups this year in the rivalry with the Cowboys. Well, Dak beat your backup who was 4-0 going into the game and one of the hottest dudes at the position going into that game. He beat him. You got to beat Gardner Minshew, dude. You got to, and personally, I think the Eagles have a pretty good substitute teacher. I do. Seals, what if the Eagles lose to the Cowboys and Saints and Jalen comes back in week 18 to save the number 1 seed and he comes back and potentially wins the MVP? Sean, I think it's got a lot to do with what Allen, Burrow, and Mahomes does this weekend. What if they all three lose? What if they all three throw picks? Right? What if they don't play well? Do you automatically put Allen ahead of Jalen just because he played the game? I don't subscribe to that. I think you've got to be the MVP to me. You've got to be spectacular almost every single time that you step on the field. And I'll make this comment to you. Even in the Washington loss, I still think Jalen played well. I said it that day. I am not going to elevate a guy just because he played the extra game, lost through 3 picks, just because he showed up. Now, I think you get credit for that. I think you get credit for that, but I'm not going to put anybody ahead of anybody if you play shitty and you lose. I mean, this week is going to tell me a lot about Dallas, more so than, hey, that's another great point. Is this Dallas game going to tell you anything different about your Eagles that you don't already know? Dallas has got the answers that they've got to come up with for themselves. Have the Eagles been consistent? Yes. Have the Eagles been dominant? Yes. What else is there to know? Oh, can I win with my backup? Okay. God forbid in the postseason, could that happen? Maybe. But look at all the answers Dallas has. Where's Dallas's pass rush gone? Could Dallas run the ball? Can they defend a pass? Could Dak win a game? They got a lot of questions over there. They got a lot of questions. I just can't look. 13-1 versus 10-4. Dallas has beaten some pretty good football teams this year. You know, the Bengal team they beat earlier in the year, that Bengal team right now is a completely different looking ball team. That's the great thing about the NFL this year. I think anybody gets into the postseason, I don't know who's going to win the Super Bowl. I think anybody could jump up on anybody and win. That's the coolest thing about the NFL, unlike the NBA and baseball. 7-game series, you pretty much know who the better team is. Same thing in the NBA, but they got 3 teams. Wake me up in June. Right? You just don't know what team jumps up. 26-24 Cowboys. Hey, I swear to you, 95% of me thinks the Eagles are winning. But I just can't think Dak's going to lose that game. Jalen took care of business against their shitty backup. He took care of business. Can the Cowboys? They have to. Dude, I will look at you and say this when we talk again after the holidays. Friends, Dak is not worth the money. He's holding the team back. You know, you guys can end Dak Prescott's time in Dallas. The question, hey, all the exposure the Cowboys get could be to the detriment of Prescott if he loses that game Saturday. Can you imagine? Minshew throws for 350 yards and 24-32, and he puts up 4 touchdowns on them, and they blow them out. Whoa! Mike McCarthy will be fired. Dan Quinn will be the next head coach. And get this, Dak Prescott, the questions will be, he should not be the Dallas Cowboys starting quarterback. Trade his ass to Tennessee. Can you imagine you end Prescott's career in Dallas? I think it's possible and more likely feasible that could end up happening. Dude, if Jalen plays here, so you know, if Jalen plays in that game, I think they beat Dallas 31-21. 31-21 sounds right to me. Okay? Even in your own minds right now, all Eagle fans and all NFL fans listening to the show, there's a reason you pay a guy $45 million. It's not to put up empty calorie stats. Guy's got to win, man. I'm going to kill that guy if he loses. And it'll be a testament to the Eagles and their power. I'll tell you what, man, if Philadelphia goes into AT&T and wins that football game, holy shit, man. Are they better than I thought? They'll be better than I thought. They win that game, they're better than I thought, and they're 13-1. Team to beat, you know, I think it'll be a clear-cut conversation. The Eagles were the best team all year. And I watched a ton of shows today. Because Jalen's not playing, they're talking about all these other games that are being played on Saturday and Sunday. They're kind of like downplaying it. Why? Because your MVP candidate's not in. Dude, this is going to be how about this? This is going to be one of the best sidebar games I've ever seen. And what I mean by that is the storylines that will come out of this, if Philadelphia rolls into that place, takes care of business, and beats that Cowboy team, holy cow, are they great. Dude, you can put a stamp on it. I beat your ass in Dallas at your place, one home field advantage, own the NFC East. Playoffs roll through Philly. Get this from Jason Kelce. I don't have to put my flip-flops on going through airports anymore. I could just stay at home with my Santa shoes on. Dude, I think, hey, man, I think every one of those Eagle guys are going to play their asses off. I think they may win. I really do, but I cannot believe that Prescott and the Cowboys can let that happen. Dude, it'll be a true testament to Jerry Jones and his inability to run the team. Total inability. 26-24, Cowboys. In a must-win for Dallas. For numerous reasons. Shit, the Eagles are sitting there going, oh, you know, our boy, we're going to rest him a little bit here. And we still think we can beat you. I do too. I do too. I think they're going to run the ball right down their throat. Let's say this to you. If the Philadelphia Eagles have 4 series of 12 plays or more, they will kill that team. Because you know why? Dak will be throwing from behind. There'll be picks turnovers, that thing will look like an incredible train wreck. It'll look like a train wreck. You know that movie, The Fugitive, with Harrison Ford? The thing goes off the rails? That'll be the Cowboys. Go right off the rails. 41-17, something like that. If they put 4 12-plus play drives against Dallas, no moss. No moss. Jess, I'm hoping you guys are understanding. You're the better team. But I have a hard time saying Gardner Minshew, who's been sitting in mothballs for, 6 months, is going to walk off the field and face a $45 million quarterback, beat his pants off him, go back and sit in mothballs again until Jalen comes back. Dude, Dak Prescott's got to win this game. And I'm talking more as a football guy. If I'm in the front office, I'm going to do this to Jerry. Jerry, he's been a starting quarterback for 5-6 years, is it? What is it? He's never won a game. They've got to win. Okay? Let me ask you this here. Let's move on to the topics. There has been a ton of great moves by Howie Roseman. Gilmore, thank you very much. Happy holidays to you. 7 years, Rob? Rob, Dak's been a starting quarterback in Dallas for 7 years, and that guy hasn't won dick yet? Dude, it's over with on Saturday night if he loses. The Cowboys can end the Eagles can end that whole. Dude, Dallas will be forever damaged by the Eagles going into the postseason. You would have done something that they know this. We can't beat them. We can't beat them. Eagles beat that team in Dallas Saturday with Minshew, and Dak throws like 3 or 4 picks. They can't beat you. Shit, I don't think they can now. But I find it hard to believe that Dak Prescott loses this game. Let's move on to the topics here. What has been Howie Roseman's best offseason move? What has been that move? What has been Howie's best move? Let's take a look at it. Drafting Jordan Davis, signing Kaiser White, signing Hassan Reddick, trading for A.J. Brown, finding C.J., who leads the NFL in interceptions, still getting Bradbury, who should be considered for the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Not trading Landon Dickerson, maybe. Not trading Gardner Minshew. What's been Howie Roseman's best move this past offseason to put this team in a 13-1 position? Best move, what is it? Let's not forget something else here. Xander points this out to me all the time, right, Xander? How about the trade with the Saints to get that first-round pick coming up in April of 23? That thing's a top 10 pick. You might win the Super Bowl and have the 5th pick in the draft. Show me when that's happened last. Right? Look at what Howie's done. He secured the future with that move with the Saints. 2 1s. 2 1s. You're 13-1. And you got a player from the Saints for $836,000, who's leading the NFL in picks. What is the best move that Roseman has made this past offseason? Man, it is. A.J. Brown has. Have you ever, get this? Hey, guys, help me out here. What was the year of the Dream Team? Was that 2012? Was that the Dream Team year with Vince Young and them dudes, Amdi Nasamwa and them guys? Was that the year when all them dudes they brought in and they put on the football team and they made like a ton of moves? 2012, was it? Go back and remember that year when they brought all those dudes in. How many of those guys didn't? Dude, Nnamdi Asomugha was a good player with the Raiders. He came to Philadelphia. He sucked so bad. I couldn't believe it was the same guy. I could not believe it was the same guy. He was terrible. Terrible. That thing turned out to be maybe the beginning and demise of Howie Roseman in a way. I'm curious, what's the top move you think? Bradbury at $5 million. CJ, man, now he's been missing because he's been injured. I have to think it's between Reddick and Bradbury. A corner and a pass rusher, both panning out. Bradbury should be on the Pro Bowl. Bradbury should be on the Pro Bowl. Should be on the Pro Bowl. Bradbury, I mean, that entire secondary. Dude, when Gardner Johnson comes back, Jesus criminy. Is that a formidable group? I don't know what the status is on his kidney, but that guy is one whale of a football player. And then the pick that he got with the Saints in the first round. Hey, man, I'm going to tell you this. If they don't grab their pass rusher at 5 or say it's a 7, I bet you Howie moves down, gets another 1, and has 3 1s in the first round next year. Incredible. I'll tell you, and I said this yesterday, and I'll continue to say this about Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman is a deal maker. He is a deal maker. And I guess sometimes, and you know who I would compare him to? I don't think you guys know this. Some of you do, and I think I've told Xander this. I had my Series 7. Okay? I have a Series 7. I worked for Bear Stearns. I worked on commodities, and then I worked in acquisitions and mergers. I first started as a broker in Dallas, and then I went to Wall Street. I know. How do you think I could deal with you guys? Because one of the great things, here was my pitch. Hey, this is Dan Sileo from Bear Stearns. How you doing, sir? We've never had a losing quarter in 68 years. We're not like Merrill Lynch. We don't flip you in and out of stocks. We pick 3 stocks a year, Waste Management, Sarah Lee. And we go with those strong companies because we believe in strong companies because that's the backbone of our company with Ace Greenberg. And the guy goes, well, what are you looking for? And I go, well, sir, I'll tell you what. You know Trojan Rubber? And the guy started laughing. And I go like this to him. Yeah, Trojan Rubber was selling at $3.28. I told a client of mine that the CDC is going to come out with recommendations that there's a worldwide pandemic when it comes to AIDS. What do you think that stock went to the next day? The guy goes, what? I go, 17-fold. All he had to do was invest with me $100,000. He would have made $1.7 million. Guy goes, I like your pitch, kid. That's all these whales like. They like the pitch. I used to do that, sit in front of a green and black Quotron. Should have probably stuck with it because that would have made a killing. I was doing well. That's what Howie is. He's a trader. That's why the team from 17 got taken apart, built it back up. Howie doesn't believe in long-term investments. He believes in short-term returns. That's how he looks at his Eagle team. Howie's not looking at 10 years down the line. That's why they're probably going to give Jalen Hurts that 3-year contract. They're looking at the interim time. They're looking at the short-term return on investment. Howie handles himself like a broker. That's right, Sam. Long-term investments, unless you're somebody that's going to go into like annuities, or you're going to go into like, retirement funds, those usually get you about 3.5% return. Howie's looking at the return right now. Are you going to be good or not today? You know what Howie's future is when he's building the Eagles? 3 years. That's what the Rams are doing. Hey, get this. Everyone's shitting on the Rams, including me. They won a Super Bowl last year. Is it worth 2 or 3 sucky-ass years in Los Angeles having won a Super Bowl? That market's going to be a little funny because you know why? They only care when you win. They don't show up if you're 9-7. If you're 10-7, they're not going to show up. Maybe Hassan Reddick, Howie isn't even paying him top 15 money at the edge. The value of a top edge rusher right now is $28 million. That's a great one, Tone. And Tony's right there with some of the best pass rushers, and he's a Pro Bowler. Davis was I'll tell you what, Tyler. I think Davis was a really good pick. I don't know, great pick yet. We'll see. Because to me on Davis, he's got to be more than a run stopper. Now, if you're okay with him being Vince Wilfork and being the 13th pick, okay. You're okay with that pick then. But like the 11th pick or whatever he was there, got to be a little bit more than, just a run stopper. I'd like to see a little more. If I had to pick a guy, and a guy that I had been at the beginning of the year killing, I think the move that Howie's made this offseason, I think it's the Reddick move. Because it's what Tone said. Dude, you're not paying this guy big money. And big money with edge rushers, these guys are $25 million guys. And he's a Pro Bowler, and he's giving you $25 million return on the investment. Look, there's been a ton of moves. He's made a ton of moves. Ton of moves. I have never in my entire life seen a general manager make as many moves as he has made, and they have worked. Usually the team that doesn't make the ton of moves has always been the most successful teams. Jalen Hurts has obviously carried the team, and he has been the most important player on the team. His development has been remarkable, especially in the passing game. I didn't think he'd improve as much as he has. I mean, Hassan Reddick over the last 7 weeks has outplayed Michael Parsons. He hasn't outplayed Nick Bosa. Bosa's the best edge rusher in the game right now. And I think he's the best D lineman in the game. That includes Aaron Donald. Because he played, get this. You know why I say it's Bosa the best D lineman? He plays on the number 1 defense in the NFL. He's an edge rushing terror. And you could see it in his tackling. I mean, I think you've got to play on the best unit to be considered the player of the year. I don't think Michael Parsons playing on a defense, giving up 500 yards of total offense to the Jaguars, albeit they may be a playoff team. Remarkable. Congratulations to Hassan Reddick. He shut my hole up. Absolutely. Pro Bowl year, factor, impact. They figured, you know what? Crazy to say this, Jonathan Gannon figured it out where other places couldn't figure it out. You have to give Jonathan Gannon credit for this. As much as it pains me to say, it's truthful. Reddick figured out the Rubik's Cube known as Hassan Reddick. Arizona couldn't figure out the Rubik's Cube. Carolina couldn't figure out the Rubik's Cube. But Jonathan Gannon figured it out. He figured it out. How do I use this guy? It took a couple weeks. See, it shows you my mentality. I'm not very patient. Maybe that's why I don't like Gannon, because I don't like patient D coordinators. I like people that get after your ass. And again, it's not really common to see that kind of shit, but you're seeing more of that. Look at Robert Saleh. Last night, his quarterback, I said it from day one, Zach Allen sucks, and he'll never be anybody. But remember, the Jets' defense was the worst in the league last year. Pretty good this year. They're pretty good. I say Hassan Reddick has been Howie Roseman. Best offseason move. You're not paying him a ton, and he's giving you a ton of production. Ton of production. All right, let's go over to this other topic here. Going into this Dallas game, there is so much in common with your 2017 football team. I don't think your coaching is anything near the 2017 team. But I do think this. The one thing that is comparable, how dynamic that you've been in your front seven on defense and how great that O-line is. 3 starting dudes on the NFC Pro Bowl reside in Philadelphia. And the other 2 guys are not chopped liver. Isaac Seumalo is a heck of a ball player. Jordan Mailata, if he didn't get hurt this year, would probably be a Pro Bowler. That is such a great, like I said, that line is as good a line since the Nate Newton and Kevin Gogan and Larry Allen Dallas Cowboy line. That's how good that line is. They're as good as that line, I think. Now, Miles is a good back, but he's not Emmett. What side of the football has been the most impressive? This 13-1 year, offense or defense? What side has been the most impressive? I thought about this last night. God, the Eagles are like number 1 across the board in almost every defensive statistic. The offense has improved even more so than what they did. They're still number 2 in rushing. What has impressed you the most? The offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball? Howie has been more focused on the defensive side of the ball, hasn't he? Well, he went out and got Joseph and Sue. Can you imagine this too? So you're building a boat. You build the boat. You send it out to sea. It starts taking water on. And like the Titanic, when it hits the iceberg, instead of sinking, Howie gets 2 dudes to fix the boat. And it sails into harbor. That's what Roseman did. This guy's like an engineer. 2 things they needed. We got to stop the run. Or all what we're doing in the secondary is just going to go for naught, and those guys are going to get beat up in the secondary. We got to do something. Got 2 dudes at the ice cream stand. That's hard, man. Boy, the way they run the ball, man, the way they just kick people's asses on offense is so impressive. Miles Sanders has been so good when they use him. But I got to say, man, that secondary, I'm trying to think of great secondaries over the last 15 years. Patriots had a couple of them with Revis back there. Any defense that Darrelle Revis played on was going to be a top-flight secondary. Those Patriot secondaries during the Super Bowl run, very underrated. Very underrated secondaries. They were fabulous secondaries. I mean, you couldn't name any other guys. Vince Wilfork, Chandler Jones was there for a little bit. Then they sent his ass to Arizona, right? I mean, there weren't really massive edge rushers. Teddy Bruschi, Mike Vrabel. Legion of Boom, very good now. Very good. Legion of Boom with Chandler. Yeah. Those guys were fantastic back there. And get this, I don't know if any of them were first-round draft choices, what he did back there. But again, why was he able to do that? Carroll was able to build that defense on the side of the ball. Why? Because Russell Wilson wasn't making a shitload of money. He was a third-round guy. Right? Cam Chancellor was a late pick. I don't know if Richard Sherman was a first-rounder. I'm not sure, and I don't think. Michael Bennett, their pass rusher, was a guy they got from Tampa who was released by the Saints. The linebacking core was fabulous. Most of that team got built with ones. Most of that was not built with ones. Kind of funny, that Seattle team, that Seattle defense kind of resembles a little bit what the Eagles are doing in 2022, right? Remember, Michael Bennett. Michael Bennett was a Saints cast-off, went to the Bucs. The Bucs lost him in free agency, and he went up to Seattle. Turned out to be one of the best pass rushers in the sport. Cam Chancellor was a late-round pick. Bobby Wagner, all them guys. They were able to build the team because the quarterback wasn't making a killing yet. See, I want to show you something else here. One thing you got to remember with Jalen here, too. Look at early part of Russell Wilson's career. Russell Wilson, early part of his career, they won more games. They were more dominant of a team. When they paid him, it went away. That's what the league does that by design. They do that by design. They start losing the center who had to go to New Orleans. They start losing wide receivers. Beast mode retires. Russell Wilson gets paid. Change the dynamic there. Earl Thomas was great. Was great. Boy, for me, man, I think it's the defensive side of the ball. It's been impressive. They really and I get this, and I kill that defensive coordinator. And I just think, watch this. Hey, I just think it's style and taste. That's all it is, because you can't argue with his results. So it's more of a problem with me. Because he could turn around and go, number one in turnovers, number one in sacks. We've improved the run defense. Dude, what do you want from me? He's right. He's right. And eSports says Hurts could play as a mobile quarterback. I didn't say he couldn't play. He just won't last long. I'm not on the bandwagon. Nope. Big Sills is not on the bandwagon. Dan, you think our defense wrecks shop on Saturday? Be the key to the game. Dallas has got a good old line. I'm going to look at Dallas's numbers here, too, with players. I don't think their running game is as good as your running game. However, I do think the quarterback is better than Jalen at play action. For Dallas to win that game on Saturday, they've got to be third and short almost the entire ball game. And they've got to win the clock. You can't have this with the Cowboys. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Minshew's going to find somebody. You keep giving offensive sequences back to the offense. He's going to find somebody. You want to limit plays for the Eagles. Dude, the Eagles, I told you, if the Eagles have 4 drives of 12 or more plus plays, that game will be 41-17 Philly. If they own the clock, this thing will be like one of the worst games of the weekend. Dallas has to be third and short, play action. And, dude, some of these other guys on the Cowboys, dude, there is no way that Cowboy wide receiving core is good. Sure, they got Lamb. They have nobody else. They have nobody else. There's just a bunch of guys there. Shit, Quez Watkins would be the best number 2 on Dallas today. If Quez was in Dallas, he'd be their number 2. He'd be their number 2 guy. Here, look at Dallas by the numbers here. Where is it? Here. Here's Dallas by the numbers. Dak, 2103 in yards, missed a boatload of games. 17 touchdowns, 11 picks. Again, they're high volume in throwing the ball. So those picks don't bug me. Now, situational turnovers do. That bugs me. But 11 turnovers for a team that throws the ball 500 to 600 times a year, that's not going to bug me. The percentages would be low. Jalen doesn't throw the ball. He throws the ball 200 times less than these other teams. That's why his number's down. You got 3 picks throwing 200 times less. Okay. And Josh Allen has 700 attempts, and he's got 11 picks. I don't know. To me, it's the same. Now, the situational turnovers kill it. I told you this before. Throwing the football is a high percentage turnover play. Tips, fumbles, wide receivers not in the right route, guy falls. Running the ball is the safest thing you can do on protecting turnovers. Jalen's efficiency has been top 5? Of course it has. He throws the ball 200 times less. 93.8 quarterback rating? Not bad. I told you, man, this guy's got to win this game on Saturday, Dak Prescott. Here's the running back numbers. Tony Pollard's had a great year, 969, 9 touchdowns, 5.5 yards a carry. He is their best back and probably most versatile back. You could put him in the slot, line him up out wide. He's effective in the pass game. Elliott, 774, 10 touchdowns. He's more of a You know what Zeke Elliott's turned himself into? Zeke Elliott has turned himself more into a red zone back for Dallas. I think the guy that they use from 20 to 20, Dallas, is Tony Pollard. And I think Zeke Elliott, as they get into the 20-yard line going in, or with their backs with the goalpost, I think they like to use Zeke there. Zeke's pretty handy with the ball. It doesn't really turn it over a lot. And he's a pretty good back on getting those mean yards. Is he the same back he was 3 years ago before he signed that deal and he was down in Cabo? No. So he's kind of turned into a LeGarrette Blount kind of guy, in my opinion. I think he's more like that kind of guy, a LeGarrette Blount dude. And this guy Pollard is the 20 to 20 dude. Gets out in open space, does a really nice job on one-on-one with people trying to get him on the turf. Tony Pollard's a good player. And I'll tell you what really saves Jerry Jones. Zeke Elliott makes $15 million a year. Tony Pollard makes $836,000 a year. That's how you're okay with it. If you're Stephen Jones, the VP of business, you're going like this. Hey, man, Zeke ain't the guy, but the other guy is the guy. So you kind of balance that. Still a high number against your cap. Pollard's great. Wide receiver. Watch this. CeeDee Lamb, 81 catches, 1,087, 6 TDs, 77 yards a game. Okay, very good. Here's the next guy, Noah Brown, 533 yards, 3 touchdowns, 40 yards a game. That's their number 2. Shit. Just in talent alone as a group. The Eagles, would you ever imagine you got a $45 million quarterback in Dallas and you got a shit wide receiving core? That's why they tried to get Brandon Cooks from Houston. They tried to get Brandon Cooks from Houston, but they couldn't. Why? Zeke's money. Shit, they dumped Amari Cooper. There's nothing in that building. Again, guys, I know I picked Dallas to win this game on Saturday. Do you know why I picked Dallas to win this game on Saturday? I cannot believe that the Cowboys can lose to Gardner Minshew and survive in the postseason. Do I think that Eagle team will beat them? Boy, I'll tell you, man, it was hard for me to say that today. You pay a guy $45 million, he can't shit the bed against Gardner Minshew. Hey, he's going to be motivated. Mike Leach. I got all that. And you know what's killing me? Hey, Fly, T.Y. Hilton. So T.Y. Hilton has been working at a floor shop somewhere in South Florida. And all of a sudden now he's going to turn into Drew Pearson. Okay. Sure, of course, only in Dallas, right? He turns into Des Bryant. Yeah, right? Fly, here's the new Des Bryant, who's been sitting at a floor shop putting arrangements together and, hey, you want to come play some ball with me here in Big Day? Yeah. It's better than putting Flowers arrangements together. Got to be kidding me, man. Noah Brown's got 533. Guys, Cowboys don't. Hey, I'm only picking Dallas because I can't believe they can lose a game to a backup quarterback and call themselves a playoff contender. Like watch this. Sills, who do you think is more of a playoff contender, Minnesota or Dallas? Yeah, but Dallas beat them. I don't care. Playoffs come. Dallas melts like a piece of butter in a pan. That's why I call them the Dallas Chernobyls. Hey, not that Kirk Cousins is any better in the postseason. There's some really shitty quarterbacks in the NFC playoffs this year. That's why they want Jalen healthy. Dude, watch this. Here's a secret. I think you're going to beat them, but I can't put my name on it. I'm going to go 26-24 Dallas. But there's I'm conflicted, man. You pay a man $45 million, and if he loses that game on Saturday, hey, can I get a refund? Can I get a refund on that? Dak Prescott, every time he gets into situations to win, shits the bed. Every time. Watch this. Is he a great guy? Yes. Is he a guy you'd want to have as the face of your franchise? Absolutely. Does he win big games? Absolutely not. You know who my wife's favorite quarterback is? It's Joe Montana. You know why? Joe don't lose. You know what Montana's numbers are in Super Bowls? He's got 13 touchdowns, no picks, 138 quarterback rating. I mean, no picks, like 13 or 15 like touchdowns, and he's 4-0 in those games. And by the way, he didn't beat Eli Manning. He beat John Elway, Dan Marino. I mean, guys like that. Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Wasn't like he was beating donkeys. Shit, even Boomer Esiason he beat was an MVP that year in 89, I believe. Mitchell goes, come on, Sills. You know Philly wins the game. I can't believe a backup quarterback could beat a $45 million guy. No. Hey, if they beat them, it'll be the proudest time of me singing Fly, Eagles, Fly on Tuesday. Because guess what that does? That buries the lead on the Cowboys. Buries them. Buries them. Do you know that Jerry Jones' biggest thing he's trying to do right now before he dies? Jerry Jones wants to win a Super Bowl. Saying that I did it without Jimmy. He's not going to do it. As a matter of fact, I'm rooting against him. Because of the relationship on how those two guys ended it. I'm a Jimmy guy. I'll always be. Obviously, I'm biased. I'll always be a Coach Johnson guy. If Jerry Jones was such a smart businessman, he's replaced Aikman, Romo. He's replaced Emmett with Zeke. He's replaced Michael Irvin with Des Bryant, CeeDee Lamb. He's replaced all these guys, except the one guy, Jimmy. Any coincidence to that? I don't think so. I don't think there's a coincidence to that. Jerry Jones is going to croak without a ring. Well, he does have 3 now. He hangs his hat on that, saying that he made all the moves, which is not true. He made none of those moves. And then you got like a dumbass like Skip Bayless telling you that he did the Charles Haley deal. He did not do the Charles Haley deal. Everyone knows who did the Charles Haley deal. It was Jimmy and Bob Ackles, who actually worked for the Eagles and Ray Rhodes for a little bit. Yeah, Fly, he tried with Parcells when Parcells told him, remember something. Do you guys remember how Tony Romo got to Dallas? It wasn't Jerry. It was Parcells. He found Romo. Parcells found Romo. He was undrafted. No one gave him a chance. Bill liked him. Bill liked him. Didn't Switzer win one? Yeah. Barry won one with Jimmy's guys. Sure did. Sure did. Top of the hour, we're going to talk more about the MVP race. I'm going to show you why Jalen can't win it. I think there's a situation and some circumstances on how he can win it. Okay? I think there's a way. Seals, if Dak loses, it's safe to say that Dak is ass. Jesse, if Dak loses that game, wow, the backlash on him will be gargantuan. And you're an Eagle fan, you want that. Dude, those Eagle guys, man, they're going to play. I think this game's a pride game. I think the media now kind of hasn't really put it in the centerpiece, like it should, because Jalen's not playing. But to me, the Eagle fan base and the Cowboy fan base, I think this is a pride and bragging rights kind of game. And I think there's a lot of things surrounding this here. Watch this. Just a couple. Gardner Minshew. He's auditioning for 31 other teams, maybe even the Eagles, to stay as the backup. I don't know. Miles Sanders. So let me put this out there to you. If Miles Sanders puts up 145 yards rushing against the Cowboys, do you know the amount of money that guy's going to make in the offseason in Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore, or Miami, or Los Angeles with the Rams? He's a free agent at the end of the year. No contract on the table and no talks. Eagles are not re-signing him because you know why? They won't be able to afford him. He's going to be 1,300, 13 touchdowns. Dude, that's a $10 million guy. Howie's not paying $10 million for that guy. Not happening. Not when you got to address the quarterback. Sydney, no one said he doesn't deserve it. Dude, I am really looking forward to see how this thing plays out. We're going to miss Miles? Yes. Same way Russell Wilson missed beast mode. Right? Can Bills afford him? I'll have to look at the cap for next year for Buffalo. It's a good question. Kansas City will. Kansas City will be able to afford him. Last time I seen McNabb, he choked against the Cowboys. Texas boy, I know a lot of people in Philly like Donovan. I don't. I think McNabb, in my opinion, was petty. I think he bitched too much. I think he complained all the time. And I don't think he produced in big moments. Other than that, he was a good player. Yeah. Other than that, he was a good player. But at the end of the day, he didn't win shit, man. Okay? Just what it is. And the arguments he would have in the media about his teammates. Nobody does that. Even if the quarterback doesn't like the guy you're playing with. You appease that guy because you know why? You need him. Even Brady knew that. Brady had a murderer in the locker next to him for 4 years in New England. He made it so that Urban Meyer said this guy needs a lot of attention. So you know what Brady did? Brady put a murderer next to him in the locker room. A murderer. And he turned him into an all-pro. Even if you didn't like him. You know, I have a funny thing before we go to a timeout here. I always said this. If Aaron Hernandez wasn't a murderer, and that double tight end set that they were running and starting to develop with Bill O'Brien in New England, with Gronk and Aaron Hernandez, the league wasn't prepared to defend that. They couldn't defend that. I personally think that Hernandez is better than Travis Kelce. He would have been better than Travis Kelce. Remember, he murdered the guy. The Patriots gave him a contract extension. And when he was in the can on death row, Bob Kraft and those guys tried to renege on it. Aaron Hernandez was a first-round talent who went in the 4th or 5th because of his behavior. That's why they put him next to Brady in the locker room. Belichick used to text him every day. Brady talked to him every day. When asked if they thought they were surprised that he was a murderer, they said both no. Crazy. I know, man. I know, man. I know. Unbelievable. MVP race. Week 16 of the National Football League. Don't forget my boy Philly 500 in hour number 3 at 5:30. Please hit the like button. Christmas time, man. I appreciate everybody being here today. Thank you guys so much. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messa & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messa & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
Post-game show with Seth Joyner.
I knew that they had a running game.
Derek Gunn.
He has put in the effort.
Devin Caney.
Had we not won the Super Bowl, what would we be saying?
And Mike Missinelli.
Well, you know who Philly is.
Post-game, now streaming on the 6ABC family of apps.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Number 1, Jeff D'Ambrosio. Destination Downingtown is rolling back prices for a December to remember. For a limited time, you can own, not lease, brand new 2023 Jeep Wranglers for only $30,995 or $339 per month. New Rams starting at only $30,995 or new Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cabs $189 per month. Zero down can deliver. Get the price you want, the selection you need, and the VIP treatment you deserve. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, Big Finish Sales Event.
Did you know taxes could be your biggest expense during retirement? Are most of your assets in tax-deferred accounts like IRAs and 401ks? Taxes are historically low today, but we're facing significant headwinds in the future. Do you have a plan? The Thrive Financial team has more than 100 years of experience helping people across the Delaware Valley with forward-looking tax planning. Learn how to shift your money from forever tax to no or low tax accounts. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits, go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
Big Still, National Football Show, hour number 2. Please hit the like button. We appreciate everybody coming aboard as you always do. Happy holiday to you. Can't wait for tomorrow's games, and I can't wait for Christmas. Can't wait for Christmas Eve as well. It's been a great year for everybody here at JAKIB Sports, and we all want to wish you guys out there a happy holiday. You guys have been just so great, man. I can't thank you enough. I really can't. Thank you so much again. All right. Couple quarterback questions before we get to the MVP race. And is there an avenue for Jalen Hurts to still win the award? Don't forget Philly 500 also, hour number 3, 5:30 Eastern time. Zach Wilson is a complete disaster. You know, I heard, I think it was Barrett, say that I could see Howie or somebody trying to bring him into Philadelphia to try to resurrect his career. Here's my problem with Zach Wilson. It's not the fact that I don't think he can be a productive player. I don't know, a starter in the NFL. But you know what his problem is? His attitude. I think it's harder to coach attitude, shitty attitude, than it is to try to help a player out get better. We see that all the time. Players that you didn't think were very good. Look at Tom Brady. This guy looked like a school teacher when he went to the combines. He made himself a better player. Why? Because he's coachable. He wanted to learn, and he was coached by the toughest coach in the NFL. That in itself is not that easy. But he was open. Jalen Hurts is a great example of this. Why do you think Jalen Hurts has gotten better? He listens. The most important thing about Jalen Hurts that truly makes the great quarterbacks, the great ones, self-evaluation. What am I not good at? Montana. Here's what Wall said. Couldn't throw a deep pass. He can only manage half the field. They worked with Montana that way. So when Bill knew his deficiencies, if you ever watch film on Joe Montana, always rolling right. Why? So he can manage half the field. Until Joe could see the entire field and Bill felt comfortable with that, they rolled him. He was a more mobile quarterback. But then when Joe started figuring it out and he was back there, undefensible with Rice. You could not defend those guys. Spectacular. But they were open to coaching. Hurts isn't hard-headed. Absolutely right. And see, Zach Wilson doesn't see it. It's a him thing. He's an entitled rich boy. He's an entitled rich white boy who's gotten everything handed to him. He's entitled. BYU, how he handles himself. He doesn't see him being the problem. The booze bug him. Why? Why would the booze bug you when you suck? You're not accomplished. You're going to get booed. You haven't done shit in your career. Hell, man, if I say this to you about Jalen not having won significant games yet, how about that guy? Bro, Jalen's in the conversation for the most valuable player award. You're in the conversation to lose your gig. Jalen, to be a great one, you got to be open to being coached. Here's something else. Let me ask, this kind of goes down the line of Hurts, and this is going to be part of the Jalen Hurts conversation is coming off season. Let me ask you something about Lamar Jackson. Would you play again this year if you're Lamar Jackson? Look at how the Ravens have been without him. Awful. Who has the leverage in that? Let me tell you something on Saturday. What if the Eagles get blown out 31-10? If I'm Clutch Sports, I'm hoping the Eagles get blown out. Why? My boy's value goes up. Jalen Hurts can win in the loss financially. Cowboys blow them out 31-10. We're going to have a big conversation in the offseason about how much money I'm worth because that team looked completely different. That's a payday. Look at Lamar. I started thinking about it. Remember I said, hey, this whole experiment hasn't really panned out that well. Well, wait a minute. Sills, how have the Ravens looked since he's not played? He's missing another game. 3 straight games now, Lamar is. Can he go like this? How's your team look without me? And you didn't want to give me the contract that I wanted? Someone will. Who's got the leverage there? Big Pickett says he'd shut it down. Would you shut it down? Ravens don't look like a very good football team without him. They're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere without Lamar Jackson quarterbacking that team. Jalen has the leverage regardless. No, he doesn't. He hasn't won shit yet. We'll see what he does. Jalen gets bumped in the first round, and they get beat. There's no leverage, except for the fact he had a really good year, and we'll start at $35 million. What leverage would he have? He had a good season. So did Dak. And you should pay him what Kyler Murray and Dak get? See, that's what I don't want. I guess that's where I'm going with this. I don't want to pay Jalen Hurts and compare him to Dak Prescott and Kyler Murray. I want to pay Jalen Hurts in what I'm paying Patrick Mahomes and what I'm going to pay and what I am paying now with Josh Allen. I don't want to compare Jalen Hurts to Kyler Murray because Kyler Murray don't deserve 46-1. And if Dak loses this game to Gardner Minshew on Saturday, I want a refund, dude. How many quarterbacks coming out are pure pocket guys? It's a great question, man. It's a great question. I think they're all more like the kid up in Buffalo. We're talking big money. Hurts is better than Dak and Murray. Well, that hasn't been proven yet. That's a theory. Because quite frankly, what is Prescott? Isn't he like 23-6 versus or 26-6 versus the NFC East? He's owned it. Do you let Lamar walk next year? Man, I don't know, man. I really don't. I really don't. I don't know. But I'm starting to think that Lamar might actually have the leverage here. You don't want to pay me? Go find a guy. Because I'll find a team. That'll pay me $240. Hey, did you hear also, too, the NFL Players Association has sued the National Football League for collusion? Because you know why? All the owners are getting together going like this. No more deals like Deshaun Watson. They're so pissed off at Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns. They're now colluding. They'll probably get caught for it. Jalen Hurts is not getting a full guaranteed contract. Not happening. Not happening. He'll never get a guaranteed contract. You will never see another deal like you see in Cleveland. That will never happen. Never happen. Owners are all like colluding now. None of that, please. That's the secret sauce for the owners in the NFL. No guaranteed contracts. All bonuses. How can the most violent sport in the NFL, or excuse me, in America, not have guaranteed deals, but baseball and hoop do? I never got that. I never got that. Never say never, Sills. Somebody could break from the ring. If Davis was around, he would. If Al Davis was around, he'd probably change that. All right. I want to talk a little MVP. By the way, predictions on Week 16 NFL. My boy Philly 500 in hour number 3 at 5:30 Eastern time. Oh, real quick too. Hey, Jim Irsay, that pill popping alcoholic. Hey, Jim, the Jeff Saturday deal, bro, ain't working. Ain't working. Ain't working. Ain't working. That guy is reckless. That's the same guy talking shit on Daniel Snyder, who is a scumbag. But who's Jim Irsay? What if you were in that locker room? You're in that locker room and you see all the moves that they've made since Andrew Luck. Don't you go like this? Get me the F out of here. Get me out of here. If I'm Brinson Buckner, man, I want to get the hell out of that place. It's a cancer. Irsay he's one of the more meddling guys. And do you guys notice one thing? Tell me this. Tell me if you notice this. How come Peyton Manning doesn't want to have anything to do with the Colts? He lives in Denver. How come he doesn't want anything to do with the Colts? His legacy's in Indianapolis. I mean, have you ever seen him do anything with the Colts? See, I think always Irsay liked Andrew Luck more than Peyton Manning. What a reckless owner. What a reckless owner, man. Dude, Daniel Snyder and, Jim Irsay, Sam, should not have football teams. They're unbecoming of the Shield. You got a guy pulled over for being drunk, open oxycodone, and $35,000 and a prescription pad on his passenger seat. If that was a player, he'd be suspended for 2 years. If that was a player, how about the shit he would have got for that? Yeah, it's an owner. Who cares? Right? Player, man. He's an alcoholic and a lowlife. Now that we found out a little bit from my friend yesterday, he thinks that the NFL set up Gruden. Not that I forgive John Gruden for some of them emails, because you can't. Nobody constructs an email dropping N-bombs. I think you are who you are in your private self. Okay? I think you can say something in a public area and do something stupid. But when you're constructing things in private, I think that's who you really are. And you're writing of 110 emails, and you got derogatory comments in those emails and you constructed those emails and then push send, you got a problem. You can't be talking like that about anybody. It's unbecoming of yourself. You know, if more people respected themselves and how others perceive you, we'd be better off. Honestly, man, when I send this, is that a good reflection of me? Hey, take it from me. I learned it the hard way. When I send this, is that a good reflection of me? I don't give a shit what you think of me. I care more about what I think of me. If you started there, you might be happier with your life. Have an ego with yourself. Have high expectations for yourself. Have high standards, because if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for everything. MVP race. Is there an avenue for Jalen Hurts to win the Most Valuable Player award? I want to get the schedule here. Okay. Allen's playing against the Bears in Chicago. I don't think that'll be much of a factor. Bill's playing the cold. Allen played his entire college career in the cold. He went to Wyoming. Cincinnati's at New England. That'll be interesting. And with the snow and the storm they're expecting in New England over the weekend. And Seattle's at Kansas City. Pete could come up with a scheme that could give Patrick Mahomes some trouble. So let's look at these going into the weekend. Here's Joe Burrow. 512 attempts, 349. Wow. 349 attempts or completions. I remember that used to be a time back in the day when those were your attempts. 349 completions for Joe Burrow. 3,885 yards, 31 touchdowns, 10 picks, 68.2 completion percentage. Unbelievable numbers for the amount of attempts. We got 3 games left. He's already got 512 attempts. Look at Allen, 510, 325 completions. Those completion numbers are insane. Jalen's going to have some numbers in here too, if he plays. 3,857, 30 touchdowns, 11 picks. Completion percentage, I would like it around 65. It's 63.7. Still having a great year. And like I said, you guys look at the turnovers. These guys got 150 more attempts than new. Throwing the ball is a high turnover play. It's a higher percentage turnover play. Look at Mahomes. 552 attempts. But here's the one thing that's insane. 372 completions. This guy has almost as many completions as Jalen has attempts. That's unbelievable. And it's Andy Reid. That is unbelievable. 4,496. He's going to have a 5,000-yard passing season. 35 touchdowns, 11 picks, completion percentage at 67.4. Unbelievable. He is a slam dunk MVP unless someone over these next 3 weeks separates themselves and just does remarkable things. Jalen Hurts, 425 attempts, 286, 3,472, 22 touchdowns, 5 picks, 67.3 in completion percentage. Of all the numbers that Jalen Hurts has had this year, that is right there. That 67.3 is the most impressive stat that he has this year, because that means this: accuracy. He's a very accurate passer. Okay? 67.3. Like I said with Allen, 63.7, you'd like to have that number. I get the attempts. There's a ton of attempts there. But these other guys, Burrow, 512, Mahomes, 552, they're all at 67, 68% completion percentage, which is unbelievable for the amount of times they put the ball in the air. Just puts the ball in the air, man. Danko's, it reminds me of Watson of 19 and 20. Well, Burrow's 10 and 4. Allen's 11 and 3. And Mahomes is 11 and 3. That's the only difference. They're winning. Okay? And Watson did. He had 48, 25, 33 touchdowns, 7 picks. That Texans team, and the next year they end up getting rid of DeAndre Hopkins. Makes no sense. And they gave him a $175 million contract extension. I never got that when Bob McNair ended up telling those guys to move DeAndre Hopkins to Arizona. How stupid can you get? You have a $25 million a year guy in the building. You search your whole life for a quarterback like Deshaun Watson, and you take pieces away from him and you send his ass away. Houston will never be a viable franchise, ever. They will never be a viable franchise. Now, here. Maniac, everyone. What's the one thing I didn't mention about Jalen Hurts? Sorry, Deshaun Watson is not god-awful. You're out of your mind. I would take him over Jalen Hurts any day, any night, anytime. What's the one thing I didn't mention? One thing I didn't mention is Jalen's rushing attempts and his rushing yards. You guys keep bringing that up. MVP voters don't give a shit about that. They care more about the 13-1 and the 67-3 and how he's made A.J. Brown have a career year. They'll look at that. And they're going to look at the important here. I'm trying to give you an avenue for him to win this thing. If the Eagles get blown out and the importance of Hurts not being there is magnified with a blowout, Jalen will be still in the race, especially if some of these other guys falter over the weekend. But if Minshew throws for 400 yards, it'll play into the narrative that some people have been barking this past week, like Michael Parsons. He's a product of the system. Anybody would be good in that team. And if the Eagles win, Hurts' chances of the MVP are officially over. Isn't that funny? I'll say it again to you. If the Eagles win, Hurts' MVP season's over. If the Eagles get blown out, he's still in it. Now, having watched Jalen and having watched how he handles himself, I personally don't think he gives a shit about that MVP thing. You think that's fair, what I said? We don't care about MVPs. We want Super Bowl trophies. Screw the MVP. I agree. I think Jalen says the same thing. Yale goes, I'd like to see Minshew have a great game. Hey, you want to beat Dallas. It's a rivalry game. I get it. Jeremiah, it does. If they get beat, Hurts' people at Clutch Sports are going to go like this. Hey, man, you guys, again, we're talking Dallas, and you're beat 37-10. The Cowboys run you off the map. Hurts is not there. You're trying to tell me you don't think an MVP candidate? Vegas had him the number one guy. Coming out of last week's game against Chicago, all of a sudden, the team gets crushed. Winning this game could crush the Cowboys franchise. Absolutely, Tone. That would be the most How about this, Tone? I'll make this point to you guys. If that Eagle team goes in there and beats the Cowboys on Christmas Eve, it'll be the most devastating loss that Jerry Jones has had since the divisional game against the Packers in the Des Bryant catch, no catch. Devastating. Because then what do all the Cowboy media people like Bayless and all these guys, how can you come to grips on Monday and go, well, you lost to Gardner Minshew? Your chances of in the playoffs are nothing. But then you know what they're going to do? Here's what's going to happen. If you beat the Cowboys are going to go like this. Well, we didn't show our hand. Hey, you haven't shown your hand for 27 years. That's what I'd fire back and say. You know what I want the Eagle guys to start doing? Talk shit back to those people. Talk shit back to them. Put a little swagger back into it. After that game, if I win that game in Arlington, I'd be like this. Hey, man, our quarterback set up the system for everyone to win. Gardner Minshew went in there as a new teacher. Beat out the Cowboys. Michael Parsons was nowhere to be seen. He's on the Sileo milk carton list. I mean, hey, once you tell them dudes over there in that other locker room to shut the F up. Maniac. Trevor Lawrence is a gifted player. Throwing the ball. He's gifted. He's a gifted passer. Jalen can't. If you took Jalen's running ability away, he's nowhere next to these guys. I told you that. You know that. If the Eagles win that game, I'll be hey, Tone, I think you're getting where I'm at. I got Cowboys 26-24 only for this reason. Dak can't lose that game. It's the end of him. I don't believe a $45 million quarterback is going to lose to a $2.5 million guy. He can't. The pressure on Dallas is incredible. By the way, ETN getting 1,000 yards last night too. Guys, let me say something to you. Trevor Lawrence looks like Trevor Lawrence now. Like the kid coming out of Clemson. Way to go, Doug. It's a guy you want to build your franchise around. He's a franchise guy. He is starting to look like a franchise passer of the ball. Okay? He is. Look at his numbers, man. What are the numbers for him right now? Trevor Lawrence is going to throw for 4,250, basically. 4,250 yards, and he's going to throw for 30 touchdowns. At a 97 quarterback rating and 66 completion percentage. This guy's getting there. This guy is getting there. They're going to get to the playoffs. And what makes him great, his ability to get out and run away from trouble. You're not going to design plays for Trevor Lawrence like they do those RPOs with Jalen. Jalen's always going to be hurt. You just got to get used to that because that's what he is. He's been hurt 2 straight years now. He's missed games. And it's going to continue. Doug's doing remarkable things with that team. Absolutely remarkable. The worst thing that could happen to Dak is Hurts going down. If he absolutely, Victor, that's my take today. Compare his numbers to Hurts? Okay. Jalen Hurts has 425 attempts, 286, 3,472 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. Currently, Trevor Lawrence has 531 attempts, 350 completions, 3,749 yards, 24 touchdowns, 5 picks, 66 quarterback rating, and 96 QBR. I don't know. Looks 10 times better to me as a passer. And he's turning the shitty Jags around. Just wait until the Jags bring Calvin Ridley in. They may be the AFC chip next year. Hey, and by the way, too, chalk it up. That kid they got from Georgia is a pretty good ball player. Jake, wow, that's a crazy take because people forgot that Hurts is running a system that he was told to run for the – No. Don't you understand? Jay Quest, the reason he got hurt was because of the game plan. Hey, if it's not there, take off. That's not a game plan. That's a rescue plan. Hey, we tell Jalen. I've heard Nick Sirianni say that at press conferences. Hey, if it's not there, take off. That's not a game plan. That's not a game plan. And when you say it's a system they're telling him to run, yes, to some extent. That's why how many times have you listened to the broadcast with Mike Quick going, hey, guys are open. He should throw it. Takes off. He's going to get himself killed. No, that game plan is going to get himself killed. It's a stupid game plan. You got a Pro Bowl back. And you got a Pro Bowl back, and you're designing RPO plays late in the year against a 3-win team in Chicago that can't run the ball. That's all I needed to know about Shane Steichen. They did a fabulous job at putting a system together, but Jalen is the system. It's not there, run. It's not there, run. Dude, it is, get this, it's a 2-read system. If he's not open, run. That's your alternative? That's not progression reading. Some would go, well, Sills, what about the other guy on the cusp of getting 1,000? That's Jalen's improvement as a passer. Not their system. Their system is flawed. You know why? It's going to get them killed. How can you have a Pro Bowl back and not use him for a half in a stupid, meaningless game against Chicago? I'd rather have had a loss in that Chicago game. I'd rather have lost that Chicago game than lose Jalen for this Dallas game. Wouldn't you have? I'd rather run the wheels of Miles Sanders off its treads, right? I'd rather have run the treads off of Miles Sanders than Jalen. A stupid game plan. Got the kid banged up for nothing. You keep comparing quarterbacks that has offenses that barely run the ball. It doesn't make sense. You think the numbers, well, according to The Athletic, the faces of the league are Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, with Joe Burrow knocking on the door. Jalen's name's nowhere near that. Nobody looks at Jalen Hurts and puts him in those other guys' categories. Not even the media. He's not in that room. He's had a great year. We're talking about building franchises. It's Allen, Mahomes, and Burrow. I'm not the only guy that says this. Athletic came out today. NFL faces of the league. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Now, to me, I kind of get the Allen stuff, but dude, I think Burrow's better. I think Joe Burrow's better. I think if I had to pick between Allen and Burrow, I think I'm going Joe Burrow, man. Burrow has. That's right. I agree. He's hopped Allen. I agree with you. Xander, as much as I love Allen, I think Joe Burrow's just. Dude, look at how accomplished he is as a winner, too. By the way, the last 4 years of Joe Burrow's life, or 3 years of his life, has been massive winning. Massive winning. Heisman, national title, AFC championship. A quarter away from winning the Super Bowl with the shittiest O-line in the league. It's incredible what he's accomplished so far. He's a winner, dude. Big Sills, I'd rather lose to the Cowboys than have you murder our fights. Hey, Merry Christmas to you too, Joseph. And happy Schoonjeel New Year. Hey, man. Hey, Yale, watch this. Allen or Burrow flip a coin? Sure. Sure, right? How can you not see how much Jalen has improved? He has. He's not anything near those dudes. Dude, he's not the passer that Herbert is. The only reason he doesn't have as many passing yards as the other guys is because he's good with his legs, and that's what will get him killed. 2 years in a row, man. He'll need surgery at the end of this year. It's got to be something with the rotator. Running quarterbacks get hurt. Ask Lamar Jackson. Third straight game he's losing. Some go, well, still, some of these guys get hurt in the pocket. Yeah, okay. Well, if they hurt their knee, so what? These guys rely on throwing the ball. They throw dimes. They don't rely on their wheels, except for Allen. And I said this to you. Josh Allen, better reel him in, or he's going to be Andrew Luck. He'll be standing in front of a podium in 3 years, retiring, because he's taken too many significant hits. King goes, Burrow's very good, but he's not accurate as if he could have easily been bounced game one versus the Raiders. Well, you're talking about pie in the sky stuff, King. That's not what happened. In his first full year starting, Joe Burrow's got an AFC championship ring. First year starting. I don't know. And now, I think they're the best team in the AFC, actually. People keep throwing Chiefs at me? Probably. I think the Bengals are better than the Bills. I think the Bengals could end up winning the home field advantage in Cincinnati. So wait, you can add that. You could add that to another place on the mantle. Well, Burrow now has the number one seed coming off an AFC championship. Ask Matthew Stafford how that's working out in Los Angeles after a Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford's overrated. Their offensive line still sucks. Xander says, getting better, though, I think. Last 6 weeks, it's getting a little better. They're protecting him more. He doesn't quite have to get out of the pocket. I believe if there's a good chance if Hurts was forced to be a pure pocket passer, he could be. I don't believe that at all. I think the Eagles will make Hurts be a pocket pass. I don't believe that. He's in, my friend, he's in the quarterback MVP conversation because of what do you guys do? You add his running stats. You don't talk about running stats with these guys. You don't talk about it. Should it be? Yeah. It was for Lamar in 17. It should be for Jalen. But just like Lamar, these guys don't last. I'm not paying Jalen Hurts a 5-year contract. Okay? I'm just not doing that. Stafford is amazing, or was amazing. He's old and his arm. You know, Sam, so let me get this right, Sam. Matthew Stafford has had Megatron and Cooper Kupp. Okay? And he's got an under 500 record as a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's got a Super Bowl. Fair enough. And he was great last year. Was that a one-year wonder? Because the rest of his career dictates that. He couldn't elevate Detroit. Guess who's elevating Detroit? Jared Goff. Jared Goff is doing more in Detroit than what Matthew Stafford has done in 1 year. He's resurrecting that franchise to a point where Chris Spielman may be going, I don't know if we need a quarterback. Who would have said this? Who would have said this a year ago? Get this. Watch this. Look at me. Matthew Stafford's raising the Super Bowl trophy. Who would have said this today? On December 23rd, 2022. The Lions got the best of this trade and deal with all the draft choices they're going to get? How's that possible? Seals, they did win a Super Bowl. Yeah. How do you think they're set up for the next 3 years? They don't have a first-round pick until 26. Matthew Stafford's putting it together up there, dog. Jared Goff is putting it together. And by the way, here's another accomplished kid. So let me get this right about Jared Goff. Jared Goff went to a Super Bowl, won an NFC title, and he's turning around Detroit. What's Dak done? Jared Goff is more accomplished than Dak Prescott. He's more accomplished. Been in shittier situations. This guy had Jeff Fisher as his coach. I had Jeff Fisher. Jeff Fisher does so many great things with so many great quarterbacks. That's Vince Young. Are we seriously talking about golf? Yeah. They're going to make the playoffs. The Rams are going home. That franchise has been turned around. Where's your boy Wentz? Collected $32 million in Washington, holding a cup of ice. And a failure in Philly. Nice move, Howie. You gave a bum generational wealth. Well, we now know this. Between those two picks, Golf was the pick. Golf was the pick. Golf had McVay. What is he talking about? Yeah, how's McVay done this year? How's McVay done this year? That's what I'm talking about. Matthew Stafford's out of gas. You see him play? He's a turnover machine. And the Lions got their first-round pick. I think, and their second and third. Damn. You talk about Howie getting it done. How about the Lions? They're going to be a good football team. You know who are going to be surprise teams over the next couple of years? Jags, the Lions, because they got multiple draft choices and their quarterback's playing. You watch, man. The Lions, the Jags, some of the shittiest teams in NFL history. You're right, the national guys are afraid to say it. Golf was clearly the better investment in comparison to Wentz. Yeah, because you know why? You won't say it even locally in Philly. It's a shot at Howie. Nobody wants to lose their press badge. That was Howie's call, along with the owner. The biggest failure in Jeffrey Lurie's ownership is the Wentz deal. It's the biggest mistake because it's a $32 million per year mistake. And dude, nobody wants to get rid of a franchise quarterback. You getting rid of him? Hey, watch this. Look what Howie did. And here again is how you guys see Roseman, which is funny. Roseman gave him the money, was able to manipulate the deal to get him sent to Indianapolis so he can get a first-round draft choice back. Great. He put his own fire out again. He put his own fire out again. Is it, though? We have one Super Bowl in history, and it was during the Wentz era. Okay, well, I'll ask you this. Was it worth it for the Rams to have 3 shitty years like the Eagles had before this thing got turned around? You guys were 4-11-1 and throwing football games. I mean, let's take a look at that 17 thing, how it really ended. Wentz on the bench, your general manager throwing the last football game of the year. But you did win a Super Bowl. So was it worth it? Probably. 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 Right? Would you take 3 years of bad football for a Super Bowl? I think I would too. Hey, Seals, you've been on some losing teams, but you did win a Super Bowl 4 years ago. Yeah. Probably. He caught lightning in a bottle. What we did in 17 because the league was used to us not running the ball. Hoss, your indecision at the quarterback position cost you another Super Bowl. Alshon Jeffrey's brick hands in New Orleans saved everybody the tragic decision they would have had to make. If Carson Wentz is on that team and Nick Foles gets the team to another NFC title and potentially Super Bowl, you're not keeping Carson Wentz. God knows what the outcome would have been after that. You're absolutely not. You are not trading Nick Foles to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I will go on a limb and say it was worth it for the Rams and it was worth it for the Eagles. Shit, it was worth it for me. Hey, man, you know how many people in Philadelphia I know that cried that day when the Eagles won the Super Bowl? Hey, how many times can you keep going back to concrete in 1960 and, you know, in the championship game against New York? How many times can you keep doing that? Right? I mean, so many legendary players on that team. There were people that were waiting their entire life to get down there and watch something like that and watch the Eagles win a Super Bowl. To me, it's the same thing as the Red Sox finally winning a World Series and the Cubs winning the World Series. In my lifetime, I thought I'd never see the Eagles win a Super Bowl, and I thought I'd never see the Red Sox win a World Series, and I surely never thought the Cubs would win a World Series. You understand something? The last time the Cubs, prior to them winning this recent World Series, the time before that, you showed up at Wrigley Field on a horse. You showed up on a horse when you went and watched Cubs games. Okay? And let me park my horse here. What are you doing here? I'm going to watch Hack Wilson and the Cubs playing the '04 World Series. Right? Howie won a Super Bowl and kept talking about the past, about money. That ain't yours. You think him and Jeffrey lost any sleep over Carson after winning a Super Bowl? No, they just lost face. Howie's an ego guy, dude. Howie's an ego guy. Don't you see him standing out? Hey, what's this? Hey, who's this? There's a locker room door behind me. Here comes my team. Look at my team. Here comes my team. Patting all the players, man. Like this guy's Vince Lombardi. Hey, how you doing? Come in here. There's my boy. Look at my boy. Hey, Nicky, baby. How you doing? Give me some elbow rubs. There you go, man. Hey, JG, how you doing? Give me another elbow. How you doing? Here's my guy. Here comes my guy Wentz, my best pick of my entire career. How you doing, man? How you doing? Get in there. Okay, who's next? AJ, I made that move too. How you doing? This guy loves backslapping and ass slapping. I told you, man. Those championship rings, they should not have the players' names on them. They should just have Howie Roseman's name on them. There you go. You get one. You get one. What am I getting? You're getting the Howie Bowl ring. The Howie Bowl. Most general managers stay the hell out of the way. Howie puts his own name on the Super Bowl rings. This is the Howie Bowl ring. Tone goes, you're so right. Howie's definitely an Eagle guy. You'd think he was out there handing out hand warmers and water bottles. Seriously, man. I was going, hey, look, here's my boy. Look at my boys. Here come my boys. Yeah, man. Hey, Joseph. Hey, Sue. This guy walks around. You know what Howie's new name is? Peacock. Howie Peacock. Oh my God. Oh my God. Howie Peacock. Oh God. Oh. Howie Peacock. This guy's got a big feather behind him. You know, it comes up behind him. I gotcha. Got a little feather behind him. This guy's like Sitting Bull. Oh, dude, Mr. Peacock. And the general manager of the year in the National Football League is Howie Peacock Roseman. Yes, I'd like to thank me. And I'd really like to thank me. I'd like to thank me. Thank you very much for the award. Me and myself will go sit down now. Trust the process. Hey, there you go, man. Howie the Snake? I don't know about being a snake. I don't know, man. Players play in Philly. I'll tell you one thing that he has done that's the most important thing, too. That's a pretty cool environment. It's a pretty cool environment in Philadelphia. Really is. Hey, how he signs his own checks, Tone says. And go. Sign. Yeah. Here, hey, you guys ever watch Straight Outta Compton? You see that movie Straight Outta Compton? How come Howie Roseman reminds me of Suge Knight? How come he's a littler version of Suge Knight? Are you in my fucking parking space? Are you in my parking space? I'm going to beat you. You get that car out of that, man. Suge Knight runs the Eagles. Suge Knight. Yeah. Howie Suge Roseman. Suge Knight runs that thing, man. It's my team. Hey, Don. Free Suge. No comment. No comment. No comment on Suge. I'm not at liberty to discuss Suge Knight. Hey. Don't bring up any. Wait. Because I'm Italian? What are you saying? I like pizza? Come on, Dreher. Come on, man. Philly 500 is going to join us at 5:30 Eastern. Howie Sugar Diabetes. Yeah, no comment. Hey, love you, Big Sills. There's no best phone. Bruce, thank you. You must be Italian, Bruce. Hey, by the way, just so you know, man, my wife loved it last night. So Barrett Brooks gives me a call. We start talking shop, and my wife goes like this, man, you guys sound like we're related. Well, we are. We are related. Hour number 3, Week 16 National Football League. We'll reset everything. Our boy Philly 500 at 5:30 Eastern. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messon Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messon Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
Post-game show with Seth Joyner,
I knew that they had a running game.
Derek Gunn,
He has put in the effort.
Devin Caney,
Had we not won the Super Bowl, what would we be saying?
and Mike Missinelli.
Well, you know who Philly is.
Post-game, now streaming on the 6ABC family of apps.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Number 1, Jeff D'Ambrosio. Destination Downingtown is rolling back prices for December to remember. For a limited time, you can own, not lease, brand new 2023 Jeep Wranglers for only $30,995 or $339 per month. New Ram starting at only $30,995 or new Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cabs $189 per month. Zero down can deliver. Get the price you want, the selection you need, and the VIP treatment you deserve. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, Big Finish Sales Event.
Did you know taxes could be your biggest expense during retirement? Are most of your assets in tax-deferred accounts like IRAs and 401ks? Taxes are historically low today, but we're facing significant headwinds in the future. Do you have a plan? The Thrive Financial team has more than 100 years of experience helping people across the Delaware Valley with forward-looking tax planning. Learn how to shift your money from forever tax to no or low tax accounts. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits, go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
National Football Show, hour number 3. Our boy Philly 500 will join us at the bottom of the hour. It's Cowboy Eagle week. I wonder what this dude's doing. I wonder if it matters to him, too. Cowboys, Eagles, Gardner Minshew. Funny way to look at this game, isn't it? Week 16 of the NFL. I'm going to get to that here in a moment. I'm going to say it again to you. I believe the Dallas Cowboys win this game 26-24 only because they have to. Eagles don't have to. And by the way, if Philadelphia loses that game, will I have a different opinion of the team? No. If Dallas loses that game, will I have a different opinion of that team? I already have an opinion. They're not very good in big games. If you can't beat a backup quarterback going down the stretch run, getting ready for a playoff push, you're not doing shit in the postseason. This is more about Dallas, not Philly. Don't be offended by that. You guys got bigger fish to fry than them. The Cowboys are not. And look, Tone and all you guys are like this. Watch this. You guys are like, Sills, I want Dallas. Guys, stop thinking micro and think macro. That's been the problem with that rivalry. Stop looking at it like that. Dude, you're looking at the Bills, the Chiefs, the Bengals, and the Niners. Those are the only teams that could get in your way. Vikings, Seahawks, Bucks. Bucks maybe with Brady because you never know with that dude. You know? Look at Tone. I think Tone has hit it perfectly here. Tone, you're right. The game matters to my ego, but doesn't matter in the bigger goals for the Eagles. Watch this. This game with Philadelphia and Dallas is more of a fans game than really dictating anything about the outcome of what this year is going to be. That's a fans game. That's a fans game. Vikings are frauds. I completely agree. Every time hey, watch this. Hey, did you see Kirk Cousins last week? He threw for 400 yards in the second half. Yeah, but he lit the team on fire in the first half. Yeah, but he put it out in the second. Whew. Hell of a game. Well, hell of a ride I was on. It is a fans game. Home field advantage is important, but not everything. No, now I do not want to lose. That is the one thing I don't want to lose in these next 3 weeks. Jay, okay, man, I appreciate it. Thank you, Jay. I get you. Italian People's Bakery, New Jersey. Look, I'm going to say this to you too. Micah Parsons. Has anyone seen Micah Parsons? He's not only on the he pretty soon, Micah Parsons, you're going to have to call John Walsh for America's Missing Persons. You know, the last time we saw Micah Parsons, he was standing out front of the Dallas Cowboy complex. He went to the mall, and he hasn't been seen since. There were 5 vans that rolled by, and no one has seen Micah Parsons since he went down to the Dallas Mall. He was there with his buddies eating an ice cream cone. Then he went into like FootJoy. I don't know. I didn't know he was a golfer. And he's never been seen since. Call 1-800 or you can call the FBI. Have you seen Micah Parsons? Seriously, man. Missing persons. This guy's like, America's Most Wanted has sent out an APB nationally here. This is what Micah Parsons looked like 3 weeks ago. He may have changed his look. Yeah. Micah may look different now. He may have gray hair since his last sack. America's Most Wanted. Man, I miss those days. You know that series with cops? Can I tell you guys why I hated? Okay, do you know why I hated cops? Because hey, Xander, Tone, here's why I hated that series Cops. Because every guy they arrested was wearing a hurricane hat or a jacket. Every time they arrested the guy, he had a hurricane jacket on or a hat. I'm like, why? Even the guy Cone, who's like Trump's guy, had a cane hat on. I'm like, why do all these guys wear my gear? Why are they always wearing my gear, man? I'm watching Cops, man. This guy, he's selling like 80 pounds of meth. He's got a cane hat on. I'm like, of course. This guy here shot his next door neighbor. This guy's got a hurricane jacket on. I'm like, come on, man. Come on, man. Go Canes. Thank you. Thank you very much. I stopped watching Cops, man. Another hurricane hat. My brother-in-law sold dope and always wore a Canes jacket. Of course they did. Dude. Every guy had a cane hat on or a cane jacket. There's a guy getting arrested, Cops. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? And the guy's getting, I'm like, come on, man. Why not at least a gator hat? Shit, they got a murderer up there. Hey, that's how I always used to compromise myself. Well, at least we never had a murder. And someone goes, hey, Stills, what about Ray Lewis? No comment. No comment. No comment. Hey, Sills, do you think Ray killed them guys in Atlanta? No comment. Sills, how well do you know Ray? Sills, have you talked to Ray about this? Oh man. Yeah, Jimmy Johnson. Somebody saw that. A lot of people have been responding this week because we had Coach JJ on. And he's like, hey, Sills, man, you were a handful, man. I'm like this. Mario Cristobal now doing recruiting and all this shit, right? And Mario goes, hey, man, so you were a handful? I go, hey, Mario, you need about 50 more guys like me on your team. Because we had the dog collars around our neck. Jimmy was the guy holding the leash. And when he went like this, man, Jerome and I went and got some. Sileo threw a guy out of building. Jerome been arrested for weapons. That's where I'll end it with things with other players on our team. I had guys on my football team that sold drugs at night and played nickel corner on Saturdays. The Cocaine Cowboys. Hey, man, we've had the. Hey, you know what, Tone? Tone goes, Cocaine Cowboys is an underrated, or I think you're saying undefeated documentary. Hey, Tone, I've had Billy Corbin on here. Billy Corbin is my dear friend. He went to school with me. And he did Limelight, Cocaine Cowboys. He did all the U documentaries for ESPN, the 30 for 30s. And every time he wants something or he needs something, like he needed some cowboy cocaine or cocaine cowboy footage from WPIX in New York. I called the guy up, got him some footage. He goes, hey, you know, some of the people down here in Miami, some of them dudes. And I went, I do. Can you call your guy up? And I go, my guy? He goes, it's known that you know Vincent Lascalzo. And I go like this. Who told you that? He goes, Stubbs. I go, Stubbs opened his mouth. He goes, you know Vincent Lascalzo? I go, yeah, I know him. I've known him very well. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Everyone goes, you know Vincent Lascalzo? He's the guy that took over for you know who. I go, I know who he took over for. Yeah, he lives in Tampa. Lives on a golf course. Guy's my boy. he took over for Santos Tropicana. Yeah, I knew Santos when I got to the Buccaneers. That's all I could say. Because you know all Italians are related. And me and Barrett. Let's get to Week 16 of the National Football League. Don't forget, my boy at the bottom of the hour here, Philly 500 will join us. We'll get his thoughts on how he sees this game playing itself out here. All right. I think there's some really great games this weekend. I really do. Okay? Guy goes, you're a trip. I'll talk about my people. Sydney, You're right. Remember what you got to always remember. You took your first pinch. I'm not mad at you. I'm proud of you. Remember, you learned the most important possible things you could ever learn. Okay? Never talk and never squeal on your friends. Here we go. Saturday has a full plethora of games. Saturday, Sunday, get this. Hey, tell me this. So the NFL last night, by the way, I think the Amazon thing, someone's going to have to help me out on Kirk Herbstreit. I played more NFL football than him. I don't get it. And when Al Michaels asked him a quarterback question, I'm like, what would he know? There was something that was so embarrassing 2 weeks ago. I go like this. He goes, I've never been to Arrowhead. And I went, how can you be an NFL analyst and never have played in Arrowhead? It was a weird, it was a weird dynamic. I was like, they're paying him $10 million to do that. I was like, this is my first time to Arrowhead. I'm like, you've never been to Arrowhead. I don't know how you're an analyst. Yeah, you're playing, and I've seen Zach Wilson play when he was at BYU. And I'm like, yeah, he couldn't beat Coastal Carolina, and he couldn't beat Utah. What makes you think he's going to beat the Jags? Yeah. I was like, come on, man. You got to beat Coastal Carolina, don't you, if you're the number 2 pick? I don't get it. Buffalo at Chicago. I think Josh Allen's going to have a great game this weekend. I say this baby's 33-10. Buffalo. They win on Saturday. I think they put up some big numbers here. Dude, that kid Zach Wilson's hand just blows out loud. Man, does he. Dude, that guy. And like I said, like in the last hour, the troubling thing about him is he don't get it. He just doesn't get it. He doesn't see himself as, dude, when Brady wins, it's them. When Brady loses, it's him. He never talks like that. When Jalen wins, it's us. When Jalen loses, which hasn't been a lot lately, it's me. Dude, even if you don't believe it, say it. Say it. That kid can't handle. You know what he can't handle? Constructive criticism. It'll be the end of him. And you know what? Like I said in the last hour, Barrett says I could see Howie kind of like trying to bring him in here, try to turn his career around. I wouldn't want that kind of guy in my locker room. You don't have to be the best player on the planet, but you kind of have to fit with the dudes. You know what I mean? Why would I bring an asshole in? This is what he looks like to me. I like to, you know what? If I would like to just crunch that guy. I mean it. I'd get him in a rear chokehold. Hey, Xander, I'd get that guy in a rear chokehold, man, and I wouldn't let go. You'd have to hit me with a board. Yeah. And get this. Can I tell you why I would do that? No, wait a minute, Wick. Can I tell you why I would do that? I wanted to see if his teammates would defend him. I wanted to see if the teammates would defend him. When you do something to a quarterback, it's not always it's to see how the others respond. Dude, anybody goes near Jordan Mailata, you think Marty McSorley's playing left tackle for the Eagles. Remember McSorley used to protect Gretzky? Anyone got near him, Marty McSorley would kick his ass. Right? Would kick his ass. That's why he was in Edmonton, in in Los Angeles, McSorley followed Gretzky around his entire career. You do shit like that. Hey, remember when Geno Smith got knocked out in the locker room in New York with the Jets? No one defended him. Everyone in Seattle now defends him. You know what Geno's done a really great job of? Geno's done a really great job of being a better teammate. Geno's having great success this year because he's a better teammate. That's why he's winning. That's why he's going to get a short-term contract extension. They're going to pay him $30 million to be the quarterback for the next couple of years. What a win. And he's a Pro Bowler. Wow. What a year, man. That's got to be one of the greatest turnaround years I've ever seen in my life, next to Rich Gannon when he won the MVP award with the Raiders. I've never seen anything like that. Geno Smith, you know that movie 300, when they throw the kids in the pit when they're younger? They threw Geno Smith in the NFL pit. I thought he was long gone, man. All of a sudden, there's Geno. I'm like, whoa, okay. Hey, Joseph, I think that ass kicking in New York made him know he had to be a better teammate. And he saw how Russell Wilson was being perceived in that Seattle locker room. He knew he couldn't be Geno Smith Jets. He doesn't even resemble that guy. Dude, how about this? You think the Jets would like to have Geno Smith back? I'm probably thinking they would. Zach Wilson. Atlanta, Baltimore. I got the Falcons winning this game. 21-17. Baltimore can't score points. Lamar Jackson's making them do this now. You know they're actually going to Lamar Jackson going, how you feeling? How you feeling? How you feeling? He's like, you know. I'm sorry. Is that a diagnosis? How you feeling? Oh, you know. You know, Jalen did everything you could to play. Here's Lamar. Yeah, you know, I don't know. What do you mean, I don't know? Cincinnati, New England. Here's your MVP. Here's one of your MVP games, guys. I think Joe Burrow's going to go up there to New England in the snow, and I think he's going to put them to sleep. Joe Burrow's not going to be afraid of the cold. He's from Ohio. He's going to put New England to sleep. 33-17. I'm going to tell you something about Joe Burrow. He's going to win the MVP. He's going to win this thing. I think he's going to win it. Detroit at Carolina. So you're telling me now Jared Goff is going to be 8-7. 35-21 Detroit. Jared Goff is putting together a season where you could have put him in the Pro Bowl. Joey Bay. Razor goes, I give two shits about the MVP. I kind of care about it. I'd like my guy to have it. Wouldn't you want Jalen to have it for negotiation reasons? Razor. Here, would you rather have the MVP award or if the Eagles get killed by the Cowboys? What's more of an advantage for you financially? Yeah, that's Sanders right. I don't need it, but I want it for him. Absolutely. But here, I'll tell you what, money-wise, Eagles lose 35-10. No one's going to look at the Eagles. And I promise you this, if they get beat, if they get killed, I'll probably be a little shocked, and I'll have to look at it more. But if they get beat 25-21, some shit like that, I'm not going to sit there and think any different of the Eagles. I'm not. I mean, I'm not. I won't think any less of – now, like I said, 37-10, you get killed, there's an issue. Houston at Tennessee. I think Tennessee is in a nuclear meltdown. This is why I think the Jags win the division. However, Houston's a shit show. 28-20, Tennessee. I think, what is it? Tannehill's out for the rest of the year now, too. Don't forget, Philly 500, bottom of the hour here. New Orleans at Cleveland. Deshaun Watson, baby. That's my boy. Go to 3-1 since his return. He's getting better and better. 31-17. Oh, that's a little high because New Orleans is a pretty good defensive team. 28-17. Deshaun Watson and his boys. Man, I love that kid. I every time I do that, everybody, around my neck of the woods, how can you like Deshaun Watson? He's a quarterback. I go, how can you like Wild E. Coyote? And everyone goes, what do you mean Wild E. Coyote's a cartoon? Exactly. Deshaun Watson's on TV. Give me a break. We'll finish up the schedule here. It is now the time of the year for Christmas Eve Italian style. Ready? Cannolis, fish, scungile, stuffed artichokes, Italian pasta fazool, and my boy Philly 500 joins us now here, man.
Hey, yo, how you doing? What's happening? What's happening?
Make you hungry?
Yeah, I'm always hungry, so I'm even more hungry now.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, are you hungry still for this game tomorrow against the Cowboys?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we could clinch home field throughout the playoffs. So I'm hungry in that regard, but I'm kind of disappointed, not surprised that Dallas choked last week. They choked. And this game kind of doesn't have the same luster. Could you imagine a situation where the Cowboys beat the Eagles and they had beaten the Jaguars and we're one game behind us with a tiebreaker and our quarterback is hurt? But then that's some pressure right there, right? They blew it. They gave us – now we have a 3.5 game lead. So it kind of took something from this game, in my opinion.
Here's why I say Cowboys 26, Eagles 24. I'm going to tell you. Hold on. Follow me here, though.
Okay.
Are the Eagles better in every category, in every matchup, everywhere across the board? You got a quarterback coming out of mothballs versus a $45 million guy. Let me tell you something. If Dak Prescott loses that game, Philly, I'm Jerry Jones in the offseason. You've been there 7 years, guy. You can't let the Eagles go take care of business with their backup guy. He was one of the hottest guys in the game, in Cooper Rush. You mean to tell me if Philly goes in there, and know this too, Philly, you don't beat them now with Jalen as young as he is, you'll never beat them.
Yeah.
They have to win that game. Do you know the damage? Do you know the damage, Philly, that the Eagles could do to the Cowboys if they beat them with a backup?
Tell me about it. That's what I like to hear. Yeah. I mean, listen, I get what you're saying. But the thing is Dak may be making $40-something million, but the one thing that we've seen with Dak in the first 7 years of his career is he has come up small in these big moments. These are exactly the moments he doesn't show up. So there's no reason for me to think he will. It's Cowboys choke season like always, and I expect nothing less tomorrow.
The Dallas Chernobyls. Always remember that. That's who they are. They're the Dallas Chernobyls.
Exactly.
And like you said, December, Santa fitting his fat ass down a chimney, and Dallas melting down. It's something we always count on in December.
Yeah. I mean, we saw it firsthand last week. It happened last week. They needed to win that game. And the funny thing about last week's loss, you remember everybody talking about Micah Parsons talking about the Eagles. You know how many Eagle fans were like, Dallas is going to lose this game because they're overlooking the Jaguars towards the Eagles. They were doing it weeks ago. It's typical, you know.
Here's something. Here's something. What I think this game does. I think this is a fans game because this is bragging rights. This is fan bases. I think football wise, look, you're not going to think any lesser or any more of the Eagles if they beat Dallas or if they lose to Dallas with a backup quarterback. I think you think more of them probably, which would solidify them as truly the best team in the league. But follow me here financially for Jalen. Jalen may lose and most likely will lose the MVP because of him having to sit either this week or this week and next week against New Orleans. All that being said, say they get beat 35-10, and I don't believe that that's going to happen. But just say it. You imagine what Clutch Sports is going to do when they go into negotiations and you have to start doing this, the importance of what that kid meant to your football team. You know, in a way, if Jalen loses, they lose, Jalen wins. If Jalen and the Eagles win, they win big time because they put the Cowboys to sleep.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that. I get what you're saying, yeah. He's getting paid, my man. He's going to get paid either way. That's how
but here's one thing I'm not doing. I'm not giving him past the 5-year contract because he's hurt again for the second year. He's missing games.
Yeah.
And what Lamar Jackson is doing here, one thing I think Howie is, I don't think Howie's a futures trader. I think he's a guy that likes instant return on his investment. And that's why he's built the teams the way he has. I think a long-term deal for him is 3 years. You can't with mobile quarterbacks. And by the way, too, that game plan against the Bears was atrocious.
Horrible.
It's a 3-win. Hey, Philly, it's a 3-win Bears team. You got an all-pro or Pro Bowl running back. You don't run them until the second half. You're running RPOs against a team that's the 31st worst run defense. And Shane Steichen and that offensive staff got that guy hurt.
Yeah, I agree. 100% agree. There's no question about it. That was all on the coaches. What a frustrating game plan. And you know, we've talked about, when I was on the show before, talked about that if Hurts is going to have a long career, he has to not run as much. At some point, you have to dial that down. But I thought against the Bears, it was unnecessary running, like way too much. It was a very frustrating game plan. I agree with you there.
Pro Bowls. Here's an interesting stat that Xander gave me. You know, 11 of the 17 Pro Bowlers and alternates were draft choices by Howie and his staff. 11 of 17. Says a lot, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, it's really, really good. I got really angry at the whole Pro Bowl selection. I thought the Eagles got ripped off. I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought they got ripped off. It was like, hey, okay, you have the best record in the league, so we have to give you the most Pro Bowlers. We're just gonna give you 8. Dallas will have 7, and we'll leave out guys like James Bradbury. How is James Bradbury left off the Pro Bowl list? How is
Javon Hargrave?
Javon Hargrave. How do you have double-digit sacks as a defensive tackle and not get on there? DeMarcus Lawrence has 6 sacks, and Josh Sweat don't get in. Like I feel like a couple players got really robbed.
PJ Edwards
off of that. Yeah,
PJ Edwards.
Argument for him. Right.
I mean,
but the Bradbury one is the one I don't get, because in my opinion, I think Bradbury may be the best corner all year this year.
I think he should be in conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. I do.
Yeah. It's absolutely atrocious.
Hey, real quick here. If Doug Peterson gets his Jags into the postseason, Nick Sirianni gets home field advantage, who would you give the Coach of the Year award to?
Oh, you know I'm going to be biased here. I'm going to go Nick Sirianni. I'm going to go Nick Sirianni, especially if
even after the shit stain. Even after the shit stain stuff from a year ago with Urban Meyer and what he's done with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. It's a great question. I haven't really thought of Doug in that conversation up until you just mentioned it. So I'd have to think about it. But I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence looks like a player. I mean, Trevor Lawrence looks like a player. So yeah, I can see that. But I think if Nick Sirianni has one loss a whole year and gets home field, I don't know, man. It's hard for me not to give it to him. But
the guy in Detroit too, Dan Campbell, was 1-6 this year, right. And Jared Goff is turning that franchise around. They're going to win this weekend, and I think they're going to win out and make the playoffs. And Philly, tell me this: of all the teams they've played this year, don't you agree that the Lions at the beginning of the season may have actually been the toughest opponent that they've played all year? Dude, that team's a good-looking football team.
It is. I like that team. I like the style. I like their aggressiveness on defense. I like Hutchinson. If they can make the playoffs, this would be a great thing because I think they could they would probably have to play Minnesota because Minnesota's a 2 seed. So I think they beat Minnesota. See, what I want the Cowboys to play the 49ers because the first round of the playoffs would destroy them. They're going to destroy them. But if you look at the way it's set up now, the Cowboys are going to play the NFC South. They're going to play the Buccaneers, Carolina, or even New Orleans, whoever wins that division. So they're going to get out of the first round of the playoffs, and the chances of the Eagles playing the Cowboys is highly likely we're going to meet them in the playoffs. Highly likely.
What has been Howie Roseman's best offseason move? Now, let me give you some examples here. Let's not forget the Saints trade where there's now, get this, the Eagles can win the Super Bowl and have the 5th pick in the draft, which is insane. Also, Hassan Reddick, Bradbury, Kaiser White, the addition of AJ Brown, the drafting of Jordan Davis. What do you think has been the move? Hey, how about this too, CJ? And the fact he makes $836,000 and he's still leading the NFL in interceptions. There's so many good moves. I've never seen anything like it, Philly. What do you think has been Howie's most impressive move? And, of course, Hassan Reddick.
Yeah. Man, that is a great question. I will lean A.J. Brown. I think the A.J. Brown trade on draft night for your second first-round pick when you've already acquired one from New Orleans, that whole like group of things that took place to get A.J. Brown. I think A.J. Brown offensively has made such a difference for the Eagles. They're dynamic with him. So I'm going to say A.J. Brown. I think that move came out of nowhere. Nobody even knew the Eagles were talking to the Titans. I hadn't heard anything. And to pull that off on draft night for what they did, I that's where I would lean.
Hey, listen, I've been wrong on Reddick. And I'll tell you what, you got to give this guy the credit here. I don't like his style, right? But Jonathan Gannon has figured out the Rubik's Cube. And what I mean by that is Arizona didn't know how to utilize him. They let him walk. Yep. Carolina didn't know how to utilize him. And shit, the guy Matt Rule had him at Temple. He didn't know how to work him. Jonathan Gannon figured it out. It took him about 6 weeks. But, dude, the last 7 weeks of the season, he's been better than Parsons.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I agree. He's 1 sack behind him, too. Do you think – let me ask you a question. Do you think this had to do with the offensive coordinator they got out from the Colts to consult him? Because it seems like once they hired that offensive coordinator of the Colts and he was a consultant, it seemed like the defense started playing better. I'm just putting it out there.
I think there's a combination here of it. Don't you agree that since it's funny that those two moves coincide with one another, but I got to say this too, man, the additions of Joseph and Sue, everybody, I mean, all the pass rushers, I mean, Sweat, Reddick, they're blitzing more. Yeah. They've kind of like stopped the run. There's no coincidence, man, that defense. And by the way, guess who else has benefited? Fletcher Cox has got 6 sacks now.
I know.
I mean, crazy. Those two moves there, right there, Philly, could probably have coincided. And that leads me to this question here. What side of the football has been the most impressive to you this year? What the defense is doing? Dude, they're number one almost across the board in just about every statistic. on that side of the football or the offensive side of the football. The offensive side, you got a Pro Bowl back, you got a Pro Bowl wide receiver, you got a Pro Bowl quarterback, and not only a Pro Bowl, but a starter, and you got 3 Pro Bowlers in the O-line.
Yeah. I expected it from the offense. I think where I've been really pleasantly surprised is the Eagles' ability to get sacks. I mean, I knew Hassan Reddick would come in, and I thought he'd get like 10, 11 sacks. But I didn't expect to get Hargrave 10. Josh Sweat looks like he's going to break 10. Brandon Graham's, especially coming off injury, he's only 1.5 sacks away from 10. So I have to go defensive side of the ball because I didn't see this team's pass rush being as good as it's been. I thought it would be better, but I didn't think it would be like this.
Who's had a more impressive years, Miles Sanders or A.J. Brown?
I got to go A.J. Brown. Miles staying healthy, I feel like Miles could do this every year. I just think that what A.J. Brown means to this offense. 1,300
yards. Philly.
I know.
Miles Sanders is going to have 1,300 yards and 13 touchdowns.
I know.
Dude, I think he's the best back in the NFC East. That includes Barkley.
Yeah, you might be right. I kind of agree. I might put Barkley ahead of him, but yeah, I think he's better than Pollard. I definitely think
Barkley's at 4.3 a carry. Okay? Sanders is at 57 less carries than Barkley.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I think it's finally
Miles.
Here. Dallas Goedert being added to the offense for this week's game against Dallas. Do you think that this now even drives the nail home more that they will run this football as much as they possibly can? And I said this on the game plan against Dallas. If the Eagles have 4 series of 12 or more plays and they own the clock, they'll beat Dallas 41-10.
Yeah, I agree with that because Dallas only chance is that they have to be able to run the ball and keep that offense off the field. I think the Eagles will still be able to move the ball with Gardner Minshew. Matter of fact, everybody's expecting them to run the ball a lot, right? I think Miles will end up around 17, 20 carries. I think they will run it, but I think I come out throwing. I think I put my Gardner Minshew right under center, and I come out play action early. I think you could get the jump on them because I think they're all going to be focusing on that run and Miles Sanders. And I think you could maybe pop one off early with Quez or Devontae, somebody deep. That would
so
be
you think they're going to take the game plan of the Bears? And because the Bears, I thought the Bears did a pretty nice job stopping the Eagle run game.
Yeah. I think well in the Bears game they just ignored the run. I don't want to ignore it, but I just like first series, maybe first 15 plays. I think I want to put Minshew under center and I want to play action. I think they could catch Dallas off guard. I really do because they're going to be expecting the Eagles to run the ball because Hurts ain't playing. That was what I would do early.
Okay, finally here, Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. What's the better meal in the Philly 500 house?
Oh, Christmas Day is probably the better meal. Christmas Eve is the funner meal. It's a lot more stuff to eat Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, I'm cooking Christmas. I'm making lasagna. You know what I mean? I get in there. I do all the Italian cooking here. So.
I love that, man. I love that. See, for me, it's scoongeel, lobster tails. Mm-hmm. It's like clams.
Yeah,
it's shit like that on Christmas. Right? Well, I've done that my whole life. Ever since I was like a little kid, we've done that.
Yeah.
And then we have a turkey.
Yeah, we got crab. We have some crabs. We have lobsters. We have stuff. I'm not the biggest fish guy, but I like shellfish. So
me too.
Pound some of that. And then,
okay, so what's the meal for the Eagle Cowboy game?
I don't eat during the game. I get too nervous, man.
Do you have people in the room with you?
No. Well, my wife, they're all downstairs because I stream the game. So I got whoever's watching, but I have to pace and move around. I can't sit, man. I cannot sit during the Eagles game. I don't think
you are so Philly, man. You guys in Philadelphia, man, when that game's on, you guys get like hives and shit. And
oh God,
it's like, seriously, you know what it's like? It's like going to church. You know, you're sitting around and go like this. I got to take a knee. I got to take a knee. Hey, here come the hymns. I got to take a knee. Here come the hymns.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Every other comment in my streams are calm down, Philly. Calm down. I can't calm down.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you have a great one, man.
You too,
It's been
man.
a great
Thanks for
season
having me
so
on.
far. I really appreciate you very much. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
And
your
I'll tell you what,
family.
wish everybody and your family a Merry Christmas. And we appreciate
Thank
you
you,
always
man.
finding time. Make sure you check out his stream and make sure you check out his show. One of the absolutely best guys on YouTube. Xander was right from the very beginning. And we so appreciate it. Thank you so much, Philly.
You, man. Thank you.
You bet. Merry Christmas to you. Let's take a time out. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messon Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messon Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
Post-game show with Seth Joyner,
I knew that they had a running game.
Derek Gunn,
He has put in the effort.
Devin Caney,
Had we not won the Super Bowl, what would we be saying?
and Mike Missinelli.
Well, you know who Philly is.
Post-game, now streaming on the 6ABC family of apps.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Number 1, Jeff D'Ambrosio. Destination Downingtown is rolling back prices for December to remember. For a limited time, you can own, not lease, brand new 2023 Jeep Wranglers for only $30,995 or $339 per month. New Ram starting at only $30,995 or new Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cabs $189 per month. Zero down can deliver. Get the price you want, the selection you need, and the VIP treatment you deserve. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, Big Finish Sales Event.
Did you know taxes could be your biggest expense during retirement? Are most of your assets in tax-deferred accounts like IRAs and 401ks? Taxes are historically low today, but we're facing significant headwinds in the future. Do you have a plan? The Thrive Financial Team has more than 100 years of experience helping people across the Delaware Valley with forward-looking tax planning. Learn how to shift your money from forever tax to no or low tax accounts. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits, go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
Silk National Football Show. Appreciate everybody coming aboard. Can't wait for the weekend for everybody to football and food, friends, family. One thing here with Week 16 of the National Football League. I love talking to Philly 500. I think it's going to be a very intriguing ball game. I really do. I think it's going to be an intriguing ball game for the Eagles here. And we told you how I think this thing works out 26-24. I think the Cowboys have to win. Let me recap. We went through some of the teams. And Mr. International, thank you so much, man. That's because of you guys. Saturday, Buffalo at Chicago. I got the Bills winning 33-10. Atlanta at Baltimore, 21-17 Atlanta. Cincinnati at New England. I think they put the Patriots to sleep, 33-17. Detroit at Carolina. I think the Lions now go to 8-7 on the season. They win 35-21. I think Tennessee keeps their playoff hopes alive. They win 28-20 against the Texans. I got the Browns beating New Orleans 28-17. It probably makes that pick a 6 pick in next April's 2023 draft for the Eagles. Here's the games we haven't got to. Giants at Minnesota. What do you guys think of this one here? Boy, Brian Daboll is such a good coach. Get this. The battle of the first-year head coaches. I think Minnesota wins this game. See, here's something that we got to hope for, too. We don't want Minnesota to win. Okay? Minnesota's got 3 losses, right? So that means this. Think about this, and this is something you got to put in your mind. If Philly loses that game, then they're 13-2. If Minnesota beats the Giants, then you're talking about Detroit getting into the playoffs. The Giants not in the playoffs, and Minnesota makes the Eagles have to play the final games on their schedule. Because, and I know you got the tiebreaker, but if Hurts is not playing against New Orleans, you don't know what the team is going to look like without Jalen Hurts. We don't know. We're only assuming, and there's an assumption they're not going to miss a beat. We'll see. You don't know that. It's an unknown out there now. I got Minnesota winning this. This means Philly's going to have to play the remainder. It's if they lose to Dallas, I think they win 28-21 Minnesota. It's at Minnesota too. Seattle at Kansas City. I think they'll kind of slow down KC a little bit, but not enough. 33-20. Seattle's getting put to sleep here. Funny, the Giants have kind of like kept themselves alive and kept themselves in a playoff hut. Seattle, in my opinion, they're starting to come back to reality here a little bit. Still been a great year for Pete Carroll. We were saying this after they traded Russell Wilson. Seahawks were the worst team in the league. I thought they were going to be. They're not. They're a pretty good ball team. And with all the first-round draft choices they got from Denver for sending Russell Wilson, my opinion, as of today, Seahawks won that Russell Wilson deal. Who would have thought that? Who would have thought Seattle would have won? Dude, it's almost like this. Watch. Detroit may have won that Matthew Stafford deal, and Seattle may have won the Russell Wilson sweepstakes by sending him to Denver. Unbelievable. How about this game? Washington at San Francisco. Washington, I don't know what it is with Tyler Heineke. Tyler Heineke could play. I like this kid. Tyler Heineke, Gardner Minshew, they kind of remind me of the same dude. They're kind of like the same guy. Washington's defense, especially in the secondary, has gotten better. And Chase Young's playing. I think this is Chase Young's first ball game this year. You imagine that? You got a fresh-wheeled Chase Young, and if he's healthy, dude, he's a pass-rushing monster. I love Chase Young. When he came out of Ohio State, this guy can ball, man. Niners win, though. In my opinion, I think they put the Commanders to sleep on playoff hopes. And look, Brock Purdy, the legend of that Purdy dude in San Francisco, I think it's 28-17 San Francisco. San Francisco's defense, as good as the Eagle defense is, San Francisco's better. San Francisco's better. If I had to give the advantage to the Eagles in any part of the defense, it would be, I think they're better in the secondary. 49ers have a Pro Bowler at every level, secondary, linebacker, and defensive line. Okay? I mean, that Fred Warner is a monster. He's the best middle linebacker I've seen in the NFL since, I would say, Bobby Wagner and obviously not Ray Lewis. The kid Roquan Smith, that's now in Baltimore, is a heck of a ball player too. But they can play, man. I mean, San Francisco's defense is really great. And they stuff good quarterbacks and good teams. Las Vegas at Pittsburgh. This is the game that everyone's going to be with the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. Franco, obviously there's going to be a lot of emotions there. Franco Harris passing away this week. I think Pittsburgh's going to be jacked up for this ball game. I think Pittsburgh wins this game. I mean, Franco passing away, 50th anniversary. It really was kind of the game that set up that dynasty for 4 Super Bowls in 6 years. I think they win a close one, 21-20. Let me tell you this, man. The Steelers and the Raiders, I grew up on that rivalry. My opinion, there was nothing like it. 2 best teams in the NFL played every single AFC championship. There wasn't a better rivalry. I'm trying to think in my time in the 70s and 80s, when I was a young kid, was there a better rivalry in the NFL? Redskins, Cowboys was pretty good. George Allen versus Tom Landry, that was a good rivalry. I'll tell you, when Vermeil got to the Eagles and Vermeil started winning games with Harold Carmichael, Wilbert Montgomery, big hands. I'm trying to think. That guy Johnson, who was a defensive tackle for them. Bill Berge was on that team. Shit, Herm Edwards played on that team. Man, that was such a good football team. Carmichael was a freak show. 6'6", 6'7". You couldn't defend that guy. Every time they threw the ball up, Cowboys, Eagles, Vikings was kind of the NFC powers. They were pretty good. They were good. The Giants sucked. In the AFC, the best teams were in the AFC. Dolphins, Raiders, Chargers. Chiefs were kind of past a little bit before my time. Raiders, Kansas City, was really great. That Raider dynasty, though, man. And the Raiders versus the Steelers was such a great football game. Sunday games, Green Bay at Miami. Whew. How about this, guys? If Green Bay wins that game, they're 7-8. I don't want Rodgers in the postseason. I know some of you go like this. He doesn't really do anything. But look at the quarterbacks. Potentially Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, Brock Purdy. I mean, Rodgers, I think, can beat them dudes. Dak. I think he could beat them dudes. He owns the Cowboys. It's in Miami. So I'm going Miami in a close one. 31-30. Denver at the Rams. I don't even know who's playing quarterback. I think Derek Carr's playing, so I'm going to go Carr here. Oh, excuse me, Rams. It's what's his name? It's Baker Mayfield. Denver at Baker Mayfield. The Rams. I don't know. What a shit game. That's the worst game of the weekend. 24-21. I'll go Rams, I guess. Tampa Bay at Arizona. Dude, the Bucks have to win this game. They have to win this game. Brady's got to score some TDs too, dude. 29-17. Buccaneers win. I think the Bucs are going to get into the postseason with a 9-8 record. Be the worst season Tom Brady's ever had record-wise, and maybe even statistically. Right? And then Monday, Chargers at Colts. Hey, Jim Irsay, how's that Jeff Saturday deal working? I got the Chargers winning here. Chargers better win here. I know you guys give me shit about Justin Herbert all the time, and rightfully so. So, should be a great weekend of football. Bowl games too, man. Gasparilla Bowl today. Missouri Wake. Independence Bowl also today. Houston, Louisiana. And then on Saturday, Hawaii Bowl. San Diego State versus Middle Tennessee. Guys, I appreciate it. You make sure you have yourself a very happy Merry Christmas. And make sure you give thanks to God. We thank you very much for coming aboard and growing our show. We're so looking forward to the beginning of the new year. I can't wait to see what happens on Saturday with the Cowboys and the Eagles. Have a great one. Have a great holiday. God bless you guys. Thank you so much. Xander, Tone, excellent. We will see you after the holidays, and we'll see you on the flip side.